Pop Cola.
Yo, hey, guys, welcome back. Another episode of Intelligent Idea Talkers podcast for the week of August 13th, Sunday, 2017. I'm your host, Dee.
This is Juce.
It's your boy, Jay.
Yeah, episode 24, Intelligent Idea 24. Talkers. We back. We'll get a toast real quick.
Toasting,
Sipping on some Johnny Walker.
Hey, Platinum
label.
Also, Yosemite Road, Cabernet Sauvignon. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm trying to work on my
Cabernet Sauvignon.
You know, it's like it's Cabernet. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like it's not a hard N. You know, Cabernet, Cabernet.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
That hard N.
You know what's funny is how well that's what she said works with a lot of other jokes. It's like that's what she said. You know, I'll be like, close the door. It's like that's what she said. You know what I mean? It's like it'll just go. Like, you know, you tell somebody to sit down. That's what she said.
Say word.
Yeah, okay. That jump just goes with anything. Lots been going on in the world last couple of weeks, fellas. Anything else new?
Close to home, man.
It's been a while since we had a podcast.
Yeah.
A month. You know, nothing new happened. I went on a trip to Florida myself recently.
Yo, you gotta tell us about that.
Hot
man.
as hell, beautiful
What
weather.
part of Florida?
You know. South Beach, as like always, just like
Beach.
last year. I didn't want to go back to South Beach myself, but it was cool. We didn't actually rent a hotel room. We rented a Airbnb, which I did not know what that was until this trip. I'm like, an Airbnb, what the hell is that? But basically, people own a house, they'll rent it out to people who come through, and you know, it's for a couple of days a week. I mean, it was off the hook, man. 3-level townhouse.
Oh,
Everybody
had their own room, or
no, not their own room, but everybody had their own bed, so that was great, you know. And I mean, come and go as you please. Coded lock.
we're not getting sponsored from Airbnb, but Airbnb can hook you up with a cool, clean, straight place, man.
For a good price.
But if they want to sponsor, we're open. We're open for sponsorship. We can do this podcast.
I'm not gonna
We can do this back in like South Beach if you guys want.
I'm not gonna rat out whoever rented us the Airbnb, but they had a sign posted next to the door that said, "If you are approached by the authorities, come on, you're not gonna turn down money. My money is green too, you know." But they said that if you are approached by the police, say you're having a party and the police come, says you are friends of so and so, whoever the people are that are renting out the house, you are not tenants of an Airbnb, because the state of Florida is trying to do away with Airbnbs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because it's probably cutting into the hotel industry. Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I mean, it was just funny. The only funny story I really have from that, you know, of course, other stuff happened that I probably wouldn't be able to go to it on the cast. This is it's a rated R cast, but we don't want to.
We can talk about drama.
So the first night we get there, right? We go to because we had to wait till about 4:00 to check in. We got there about 10 in the morning, and mind you, it was me, you know, B Jones, like 7 other people. So we get up into the house, drop off our bags, and we had to hang out while they cleaned up the space and made it ready for us to stay there for the next few days. So we're walking around, you know, most of the day. It's hot as hell. It's in the middle of July down in South Beach, Miami. It's hot as shit. So we get back, man. I'm tired as hell. We've been walking all day. Walked probably about 10 miles. Everybody goes to sleep, right? I mean, like, it was 2 guys that left back out. They didn't go with us last year when we went. So they were all excited. Oh, South Beach. So everybody else is chilling out, like finally glad we're able to sit down. Yeah. These 2 guys leave back out. But I'm going to walk back on the strip, you know. So I'm in there.
Wait, how far are we off on the strip?
Probably maybe 2 blocks up. It wasn't. Wow. We didn't stay directly on the strip. You had to walk back from it about 2 blocks. But yeah, it was close.
Pretty good.
Word, yeah, that's right there.
So look. So everybody goes to sleep. The other how many of us was it? 8? The other 6 guys go to sleep. I'm up sipping with Dennis' brother Jamal, right? Yeah. Popping shots, listening to music. Next thing you know, he goes to sleep. So I'm up in there by myself drinking. I'm like, well, fuck, I'm gonna go to sleep. It's like 8:00. Right, the first night we got there. Man, I wake up. I go to sleep, climb up there. Everybody else is asleep, right? I go to sleep. I wake up, man. It's like 10 o'clock, 10:30. I look down. Chris Edwards is not there, you know. I said, okay, maybe this dude got up, went upstairs. I walk out to the other room on the bottom level. Nobody's in there. I'm like,
shout out to CeeLo.
I said, okay, word. Maybe everybody's upstairs. Go up on the middle level. Nobody's on the middle level. I So I got like, okay, where the fuck is everybody at? I go upstairs on the top level. I'm the only one in the house. I'm like, where the hell's everybody at? I'm like, wait a minute. Was I that fucked
what
up?
time was it?
It was about 10 o'clock. They claimed they tried to wake me up. And, you know, it was a funny predicament, you know, because I was like, man, should I walk down there? Should I not? They text me, hey, man, we over at the Clevelander. Luckily, I didn't go with those guys because you know how vacations are. They blew through a lot of their budget on that first night. Especially the first night being there, you excited. Oh, let me get a drink. Next thing you know, you done spent $120.
Not on strippers.
Yeah, you know. That was the next night. We definitely hit the club down there. Definitely hit the strip club. But yeah, so I'll tell that story next time on the cast. But anyways, a lot of other stuff's been happening close to home. Namely, this Charlottesville protest.
Yeah.
Anybody want to lead in with any lead-in article or something like that?
I don't lead in an article, but I could give everybody the premise. So, what was it? On Saturday night, last night, there was another white supremacist protest. And I don't know if they call it an alt-right protest or if there's another name it goes by. But anyway, it's a protest where, I'm just going to call it white supremacists or alt-right. They gather, they light torches, and they march their way around, Charlottesville, Virginia, and they ended up encircling the statue of Robert E. Lee, right? And you know they were doing their chanting and then they're yelling and all the stuff they do. So anyway, that goes on for a time, and so you know of course that gets attention. I saw it honestly. What was it last night online, and as it was happening, so the people are already reporting on it. So apparently it had enough buzz to gain some attention. So of course you have the counter protesters, anti-fascists, anti-KKK,
you know,
all those, everybody who doesn't like white supremacists or thinks that they should be, you know, shut the fuck up. So they end up coming out and they had a counter protest. At which point, you know, you have two opposing sides and they tend to clash. So I heard after that, the police ordered, what was it? I think Governor McAuliffe had made some statements saying, you know, announcing
saying that they need to leave, get out of Virginia. The supremacists.
Right, the supremacists.
That there's no place in Virginia for you guys. And, you know, basically trying to protect his political territory.
Right.
And stay in good standing with
all communities.
With all communities.
Exactly. Which is commendable, right? You know,
it is.
And understandable. And so
it's commendable because it's the right thing to do, but it's understandable because he has to protect his political life. You know what I mean? You don't want to commit to any one side.
Right.
If you're going to commit to a side,
I mean, unless you're the president, then you just, you know, you don't want to say anything against it.
Let me ask you this though: if the supremacists were the majority, would McAuliffe have said that? Like, would he side with the supremacists or would he side with the anti?
If it wasn't for civil rights in the '60s, I would imagine, yeah, you would probably side with, you know, but civil rights happened. And it's not acceptable to be like that. To be
2017, come on, man.
Right, yeah, like that happened, and we're past all of that. What we thought we were, right?
We're trying to get past over.
So what happened after that? He made his statements, and then you know they had the police come and try to break up all these and tell everybody to go home or whatnot. So, but you know, of course, this is a rally, so it continues. So I don't know what time it was this morning, where I don't have the guy's name.
We don't need to get the guy's name.
The guy.
Some asshat decides to run his car into the counter protesters as they're counter protesting the white supremacist rally.
I mean, I plug his name on out. You ran into a crowd of people.
Nah, you don't want to.
He's a terrorist.
You don't give him infamy. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to
we'll say his name once. The terrorist name is
James Alex Fields Jr. I got
James
a little
Alex
description.
Fields Jr. is the terrorist. Has injured many.
The suspect being held in a Virginia jail in connection with a deadly crash near a scheduled rally of white nationalists has been identified as. Can I say his name twice? Or you guys want me to skip it?
As the terrorist, now known as.
Anyway, of Maumee, Ohio. He's being held in suspicion of second-degree murder, malicious wounding, and a failure to stop in an accident that resulted in death. 1 person died and 19 were injured Saturday when a car rammed a crowd of counter-protesters gathered to oppose the Unite the Right rally of white nationalists and other right-wing groups. So
Unite the Right.
And I mean, he looks like a typical guy. I mean, he's not like a skinhead or anything like that. I mean, Guess you don't have to look any type of way to be racist
anymore, or are you just like in khakis and a button up?
According to his mom,
you a Nazi.
According to his mom, he had a black friend, so that's okay.
Well, never mind.
Not like he was really racist.
Yeah, he wasn't really.
He wasn't really racist. He had just a little bit, maybe a little. And trying to show off for his friends.
Yeah,
man, I don't know. That's crazy, man. Like, just
that's crazy because like it's only an hour and a half from here.
It is. I used to go hang out at Charottesville, UVA. Back in the day,
That's not too far, man.
It's not, man. And
one thing I'm surprised about with this video is how many people were there. I'm like, damn, because, I've seen Charlottesville. It didn't look like that many people would gather in that space outside of a college function or something like that. But
I guess when you have a Unite the Right rally, so what does that mean?
Why is Charlottesville the center of all this?
That's where the statue is.
Right.
And that's the thing. So I said this earlier. I was like, all this is over these statues, right?
The Confederate leaders.
These Confederate leader statues. The one that's in Virginia, the one that was in North Carolina, I think. They took down one, I forgot what state it was in. But all these things incite these Confederate rallies, right? And they started out as Confederate rallies or people protesting, the Confederates protesting because they didn't want to lose their heritage, right? And I put heritage in quotations with my fingers because you guys can't see me right now, but their heritage. And then somehow that rally, those kinds of rallies became Unite the Right rallies. So who does Unite the Right involve now? So it's not just the Confederates. You have the Nazis now, and you have the alt-right, and you have the white supremacists. So when somebody says, "Oh, not everybody on the right is like this," yes, they're right, but a lot of these people are, right? A lot of these people are. You can't deny it. When you have a Unite the Right, like you're not having, I don't know, like old school homeowners who want prayer in their school, right? Like that's not who's attending these rallies for this Robert E. Lee Confederate history recognition rallies.
They want more extreme measures than that.
Yeah, they want more. And so when you have the Nazis and the Confederates rolled into one, like to me, it just looks like, oh, well, these are two sides who are now combined into one, both of which historically were enemies of the United States. That's what I see. So you have these enemies, people who call themselves patriots, but are now actually still representing the enemies of the historical enemies of the United States. And to me, it's disgusting, man. Like
to me, it's creepy because like if you look at a lot of these people who are at the rallies, if you look at the terrorists who's mowing down these protesters and whatnot, like they're young. Mm-hmm. They're like 20 something.
This guy's 20.
But is this guy a terrorist or did he just make a stupid mistake? I mean, maybe he was drunk. We don't know the certain circumstances under which he ran these people over.
Theoretically, he's not old enough to drink.
Could have just been a hate crime.
If he was drunk, that's
I don't
illegal.
know. I don't know about labeling him a terrorist already.
I call him a terrorist.
His act was egregious. And
what's the qualification of a terrorist? To attack somebody over a political idea. To fight and cause damage over a political idea. This is nothing less than a political ideology that he's pushing and he's using as a weapon.
Okay, you know what? Like,
his car is a weapon.
Let's spin this really quick. Like, if the dude was from the Middle Eastern descent, right? I guarantee you, the news would call him a terrorist.
100%.
So, like, why not this person?
I mean, I don't know.
Just for
maybe
people.
He's just a young
ISIS
man.
Were like, yeah, we did that.
Maybe he's
just to fuck with people.
Maybe he's just a young man who made a stupid ass mistake, and
I mean, no,
try to come some benefit of the doubt, but you have to face some kind of jail time for this.
But to me, that's scary because, like, when we think of the KKK, when we think of like Confederates, when we think of all these people, we think of like men in their 60s. You know what I'm saying? 60s, 70s, older white gentlemen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To have Confederates, like, who are trying to resurrect that idea, to have, like, these people who are still, like, identifying themselves as, the KKK or whoever, being in, like, their early 20s, that creeps me out, man.
It does. Like, they're young, which means that the message is spreading and it's holding credence to people.
And it's still there.
It's still there. And so that's another question we could talk about. Is like, if the message is still holding credence, then how is this message getting propagated? Like, how is it still getting, like, to us, And like us being minorities, like we see this as, oh well, this is obviously like ridiculous. There's no real evidence saying that biological evidence saying white people are superior, right? There's no evidence saying or that supports these facts from what we see. But they see these things and they're wondering like, oh well, maybe I think what they see is that black or minorities are the problem for their lives.
Well, there's this really famous quote that I really like, which I don't know if I can paraphrase it correctly, but it's essentially like if you look at equality feels like oppression when privilege is all that you're used to. You know what I'm saying? So when you see like the liberal movement, when you see like LGBT, when you see Black Lives Matter, when you see all these minority groups getting more like footing, when you see them, being able to do similar things that, the majority white people are able to do now, they're losing that privilege. They're losing these things. And now
what they've always had, which they don't even know what it's like without.
Right.
So now that they're experiencing it.
But this is a message to any majority out there, white people, whoever, like, as a minority, man, like, we're not taking away your privilege. What we want is we just want equality. We want the same things you're allotted. We want the same opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So, like, this fear is really irrational. I understand that there is a fear because people are fearful of, like, having their rights, their privilege, their whatever taken away. But really, like, we all just want the same thing. You're not going to lose anything. If anything, we're gaining stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I try to look at it like it's chess. It's not checkers, right? So to the powers that be on a worldwide economic scale, we're all in the same boat. These supremacists they're deluding themselves if they think that minorities is the problem of their lives. Taking away minorities is not going to strengthen the economy and bring back jobs and be able to let your kid who just graduated college or high school afford him a job and everything that you think is wrong with your life. Taking away minorities is not going to do that. The disappearance of black people is not going to do that.
Who do you think is the majority of the middle class?
We are all the...
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're the working class.
We are all the chattel. So I try to look at it like it's bigger than us.
Like, you have to do this. You guys have to do this.
Yeah.
You're not going to find janitors, who are willing to, get paid, like, minimum wage, who are, like, privileged. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be willing to do that.
If you try to look at, like, the humanitarian side of it, the reason I think a lot of the world disagrees with supremacy in any form, especially white supremacy, as in this case, is like what affords you the right to a good life and to be able to take care of your family over me. Right. Is it skin color? That's it. That's the only reason. Is that all? That's the only reason. So that way, you should be set and secure in your financial abilities as far as with your family and making sure everybody is safe. But I don't have the right to do that, and it's silly. It's delusional, like, actually.
This being the nation of freedom, right? This being the nation of equality,
it's delusional.
And us having the Statue of Liberty welcoming in immigrants from across the world, people asking to give us, you're tired, you're hungry, then, like, no, that's not in line with the American ideal, right? Like, that's not in line with any of these things. We have freedom of speech because we don't want to be able to speak equally. For equally and evenly. Everybody can say what they need to say without, fear of being punished. Like, all these are based on this idea of equality. And even democracy in itself. The reason we vote is all based on the fact that everybody has one vote and every vote carries the same weight. It's supposed to carry the same weight, right? So all in all, it's like, that's what our country is based upon. And like you were saying, man, like, and even under that idea, even if we're all chattel, we're all chattel. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're all chattel.
We're all in the same
So what makes you
generally
being chattel better than me being chattel? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's what I said. It's delusional and it's
based upon,
It seems like their mind frame is still stuck in a 17th century kind of way of thinking.
Even if it's 17th century, man, like, don't forget, this country was built by immigrants. If even white people, man, like, you guys weren't white people, like, 60, 70 years ago. You guys were the Welsh.
They were the Dutch.
You were the Dutch. You were the Polish.
British.
You were, whoever.
Like,
right? You were the Irish.
White then.
Right? So, again, like, Why continue to label? Why continue to?
And they hated each other back then for whatever silly reasons, red hair, green eyes, whatever reasons they hated each other.
So it's crazy. Like, why grow up and teach your children that way of thinking? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like to hate is like
when it's historically incorrect.
They are not going to have a better future teaching them those ideals.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of that, like Claudine showed me a picture with this little white kid, and he had a KKK outfit with the hood and everything. You saw it, and he was like, there was this black cop, and he was just
with the riot shield.
With the riot shield right there, you know.
And the little kid was maybe like.
He's like 3, man.
Maybe even 2 or 3.
Yeah,
and he was
a baby.
And the kid was just like really curious about the riot shield.
He was looking at the shield.
Yeah.
And the guy's just standing there like just looking at me. He's like,
it was
why would you do that to your kid?
It was the most saddest but most powerful image.
It was heartbreaking. Yeah, you're right. It was a powerful image because it's like you're gonna instill this empty idea.
Because like first of all, it was sad. Child. It was sad to see the whole like KKK like hood and whatnot. But like it was sad because you're instilling these hateful messages to the next generation. Why?
When science proves, I mean, you can look at any daycare or public school and show that hate and racism is taught. It's not something that you're born with. I mean, you see kids of all different races or backgrounds playing together, and that they can learn not to hate. They can learn not to do these things that their parents before them, would kind of teach them the right.
Shouldn't we be better than our parents? Shouldn't our kids be better than us? Like, we shouldn't be moving backwards at all.
This whole country is moving backwards,
that's a fundamental progressive idea.
They said that there is
they think the past is right.
There's a standard of living that our parents were taught when they were kids, is that you will grow up to your children will grow up to kind of live a better life than you, right? So if your parents grew up and they didn't have a car and nobody bought them something, you want to buy your kids a car. And that's the progression of, the American family, right. That your kids won't have to live the same way you did. But that actually in today's generation, kids who have jobs nowadays are actually on average making less than their parents did in their generation, when they came of the same age. And it's all going backwards, man. Like, we are.
Is that mixed with the fact that, and I hate to say it, I don't want to say it negatively or, saying that, it should be the other way around. But, like our past generations, people are living longer. Like the baby boomers, they still booming out this jump.
Still booming.
They still booming, which means...
a rap song that's going to be called Baby Booming.
Still booming. You know what I'm saying? But like, they're still around, and so that has an effect on the economy. Old money is still being held, right? It's not being disseminated to places where the future generations can have hold of it. And while we've made incredible advances both technologically and socially, like you're right, like it's just a different, like a lot of the younger people nowadays coming up are making less. Like it's not that they have less education, but they're making less.
Actually, that's part of it too. I heard
they have more education.
I heard that because of the student tuition, student loans, and all this stuff, right? We can't afford.
Did you see? Have you seen how much it has increased in the last 50 years?
Hundreds
percent.
I remember. No, it's actually more than that. I remember reading about
it's crazy.
A good way to measure the economy is looking at say housing costs and how much it fluctuates and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So the cost of housing has gone up something like, I can't remember. I don't know. I don't want to butcher the statistics.
Like you hear stories back in the day.
It's gone up just a couple percent, which is normal because more people, increase in economy, this and that. Mm-hmm. The cost of student books has gone up 3,000%. Just the books in itself.
Books.
And if you look at, say, college tuition and whatnot, right? Yeah. Our parents' generation, they were able to go get a summer job and pay off their tuition. Yeah. Right? Getting a summer job now just pays off your gas.
Yeah, you might get a class. Like, if you work hard all summer long,
maybe one
you might get a class. Like, you might get a credit. You know what I'm saying?
So the fact that that's happening, that's it. From what I've read, I heard that a lot of people are not as educated as our parents' generation. Really? On top of that, though, the job definitely, we're not making as much as our parents. Mm-hmm. So that's sad. This is
and talking about housing, it's you hear stories about from your parents or your grandparents how they bought a house for $600 back in the day, $6,000, $16,000,
$100,000 mansion back then. Now you get a 4-bedroom for
dude,
300,000
houses are going for 500,000, 600,000 around
Lord.
Northern Virginia. You know, I mean, it's the price of inflation. Also, not only education, but just economics. Inflation, things cost more now. You know, money doesn't go as far as it did. You know, you could take a quarter and buy a candy bar and a comic book. You can't do that now. I mean, what's a quarter going to buy you? A quarter is
you can't even get shit out the token machine anymore for a quarter, man.
75 cents.
When we were kids, we could put a quarter in the token machine. Now they're just 75 cents for that little silly trinket.
I remember back in the day when we used to have payphones, it was 25 cents.
Yeah.
Then it became 35 cents. Then it started
And then
getting...
shut them-
and then it shut it down.
I'd be mad when I walk up to a vending machine and that bag of chips is $1.25. $1.25, damn! Like it can't be 75 cents
For all that air?
Like I mean, I could buy for a box of this.
So, but nothing is kept up with inflation, man. Like even the minimum wage, and I don't know how we got way the fuck over here on this topic.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it just kind of snowballed.
Yeah, but the minimum wage, minimum wage is like hundreds of percent. And again, I don't have the numbers, but I can get them later. But hundreds of percent lower. Like it has not even remotely kept up with the inflation.
The fact that if you can work 40 hours a week full time for like an entire year, but still be in the under poverty line and can't afford to actually have your own place.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
It is wild, man.
Like that wasn't even a thing in the 60s, 70s. Yeah.
Bringing it back to Charlottesville, we mentioned Terry McAuliffe earlier. Terry McAuliffe, Terrence Richard McAuliffe, is the 72nd current governor of Virginia. He had a message for the white supremacists who came to Charlottesville. Let me see if the audio will pick up real quick. Hang on.
Surrounding the statue of Thomas Jefferson to protect that statue. And I have a message to all the white supremacists and the Nazis who came into Charlottesville today. Our message is plain and simple. Go home. You are not wanted in this great commonwealth. Shame on you. You pretend that you're patriots, that you are anything but a patriot. You want to talk about patriots, talk about Thomas Jefferson and George Washington.
Slave owners.
Who brought our country together. You think about the patriots today, the young men and women who are wearing the cloth of our country. Somewhere around the globe, they are putting their life in danger. They're patriots. You are not. You came here today to hurt people. And you did hurt people.
Again, that was Terry McAuliffe, governor of Virginia. There's more to the message, but due to time constraints, we won't go through it. But that was the first thing I thought when I saw this. When I saw his message to these white supremacists who came to march on Charlottesville, he named patriots, both of whom were slave owners, and I guess they were seen as patriots to the people around them back in the days. Nowadays, their status as patriots and good, quote unquote, good men is somewhat in question.
That's what happens when you write history, though.
Yeah, you're remembered as a hero. Victors are remembered as heroes.
And it's interesting that they're like, oh man, blah blah blah, violence and patriots. But like, if you look at the protesters, if you look at the alt-rights, I read that a lot of them carried weapons. And when you're carrying a weapon to a protest, you're not protesting.
No, that's
you were out there for a reason.
Yeah,
you know
that's a threat. If you have a gun, if you have an open carry gun, that's a threat. If you walk down the street, you know what happens? Whenever you see somebody walk down the street with an open carry and they're just carrying like a rifle, whatever, whether you acknowledge it or not, you are aware of that person. You are definitely
you're inciting fear.
Certainly aware of that person. And that person could just be hanging out eating a hot dog. But everybody in the area is aware of that person because, for the single reason, that person is a threat. Mm-hmm. You can't walk around with the open carry during a protest and say you're non-threatening. It's just not a thing. It's an absolute oxymoron. Yeah, man.
Yep. It's crazy, man, the way that I guess white supremacy, racism has reared its ugly head. I mean, I've said it before in the cast here. Like, if you'd have asked me maybe 10 years ago, I would have thought that racism was kind of dead, right? I mean, I didn't really see it as much.
I thought it would have been at least going downhill.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe generations of people are getting older and, more accepting of each other and realizing that we're all human beings. But I mean, it's still there, man. It's still being taught.
I read somewhere, I think it was on Facebook, I think it was like a comment from, some other person saying like, in light of all that's happened kind of thing, where like, people are like, oh, well, they're so surprised that there's still racism, this and that. And, why is there a protest? I've read that, there are still racists, but maybe they just didn't speak up. Right. But then now that there's more racist people, or not necessarily more, but now that there's more people who are open about it, now they're able to find security within like this protest. They're able to find like, security within a group.
Absolutely. They have
they have more people to back them up.
Coding, right. They have a covering.
Which is kind of a natural human instinct, right? I mean, people will always try to hang in a group
with the mass,
of like-minded people, for survival.
Here's the thing, like my parents growing up, my parents never told me that racism was over. That wasn't even a thing for them. They were like, oh no, keep an eye out. Make sure you're paying attention. You see a person with a bald head, just be aware of them. Could be a skinhead, you don't know, right? They could just have a receding hairline. You just don't know.
Which could have spoke to your parents' experiences as young people.
Absolutely.
Growing up in the South. Growing up, my father grew up in North Carolina.
They knew the deal.
In the era where they were segregating schools. He's seen a lot of things. He's seen torches burned in yards. He's seen that stuff, right? So my parents never had the idea that, oh no, it's over. Like I feel like that was a big contract that people could have easily caught on to, but still, I think a lot of like minority families didn't really 100% buy into. Because the fact is that because it came up again so easily, it didn't take much more than a president who didn't outright say white supremacy is a good thing, but he wouldn't denounce it.
Yep.
And that's the only, and you have to see how small a line that is. There's such a small line to just not denouncing something. For it to blow up into a situation where now we have rallies and now we have white supremacists and these alt-right people threatening people. Now we have to acknowledge that these people are there because they were always there, but they were in the shadows. They were on the fringes. They were pushed into the corner because they knew that if they spoke up, they would be pushed back down. They would be shut up because they didn't represent the American ideal. But now we have a person in power right now, in the highest position of power of our country, who's
giving them more voice.
He's in his silence towards them. Even his comment, what did he say? I don't remember the exact quote, but he said, "Oh, we will deal with the situation in Charottesville. We will get it handled, and we will denounce. We must denounce the bigotry and the hatred." On many sides, sides.
But he didn't condemn it though.
That's not a condemnation of anything.
Right.
That's saying.
That's saying the
counter.
That's saying that shit got out of hand. That's what it was.
Right. That's all that's saying. He's saying that the people not protesting and the people counter protesting and the people doing the initial protest are the same.
And what I was going to say is just going back, talking just about racism, right? Like racism is still huge. It's still huge, and like the fact that like. We're not necessarily, always focused on it doesn't mean that it's going away. Like one of the most famous people, Ruby Bridges, the little girl who desegregated New Orleans schools, is only 62. Think about that. That's still young. That's probably younger than some of our parents. You know what I'm saying? So like,
what was the Louis C.K. quote? He said that slavery is just it's like two old women living and dying back to back. Like, that's how soon ago it was. Like, that's how near in history it was. It just, and they don't have to be dead. It's like, one could be dead and one could still be alive. Because she's 62 and she was desegregating. But slavery was like 30, 40 years before that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was no time at all.
It was still within, like, our parents' generation.
Right. Like, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, man. There's nothing.
Indentured servitude, the building of the prison industrial complex. I wrap all of that into
absolutely.
slavery as well. It's not just before 1865.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They had to find some way to keep it going.
They did.
Which, honestly, it's kind of smart of Trump, right? Like, you wouldn't want to denounce it because you already got a lot of minorities in arms against you. You don't want to alienate the supremacists too. You know what I mean? Then you're gonna be in shit. You know, like, even. In his campaign, when he was running for presidency, he didn't denounce it because,
that was your base.
He didn't speak in favor of it. Maybe he didn't denounce it, which is not quite him speaking in favor of it. I don't, honestly, I don't think Donald Trump gives two shits about these people down in Charlottesville. I don't. I mean, say what you want about Donald Trump. He's the president of the United States. He's a businessman, multi-billion-dollar businessman. I don't think he has time for this little type of shit. It's
what
like,
was
man,
that
just
one quote?
go home, guys.
The quote was...
And I'm not saying that he cares about minorities or black people or whatever else either. He's probably saying the same thing to us. Go home, man. I got bigger shit to worry about. Like, I don't want to worry about a fucking statue in Charlottesville, Virginia. You
worry
know
about
what I mean?
North Korea and
exactly.
shit.
I'm worried about North Korea. Like,
Kind of. I feel like he doesn't give a fuck about North Korea.
He might not
what
even.
was his quote on North Korea? He said, "Oh, we're gonna get the North Korea thing handled. We're gonna get it sorted out. Bye." And he just left. Like, that's just it.
He was like, bye.
It was like, "We're gonna get it sorted out. We're gonna get it handled." Okay. And he just like waved and left.
Hey, that's
like,
a nice
what the fuck?
Donald Trump impersonation right there, Juice, man. I like that
thank
voice
you.
impersonation.
I actually got it from Trevor Noah. But yeah, Trevor Noah's got the best. It's like, okay, everybody.
And
China.
one more thing I saw in Charlottesville, speaking to supremacists and racism, there was a former KKK leader who's apparently a pretty popular guy, David Duke, says that the white supremacist march in Virginia fulfills the promises of Donald Trump. Prominent white supremacist David Duke is marching in Donald Trump's name at the violent Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia.
That's the same guy who Donald Trump said, "I've never heard of him before."
This represents a turning point for people in our country, he said. We are going to fulfill the promises of Donald Trump, the former Grand Wizard of the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan said at a rally. And I got some audio. Let's see if it picks up on the...
Cameras right here. What does today represent to you? Peaceful protest. This represents a turning point for the people of this country. We are determined to take our country back. We're going to fulfill the promises of Donald Trump. That's what we believed in. That's why we voted for Donald Trump, because he said he's going to take our country back, and that's what we got to do.
Not every Trump supporter is a racist.
Again,
but every racist is a Trump supporter.
That was former KKK leader David Duke, speaking about his support for the march in Charlottesville and his support for Donald Trump. Which, again, these people are totally delusional, man. I don't think Donald Trump gives a shit. Donald Trump's like, yo, I got bigger fish to fry now.
He's a businessman.
Yeah,
you know what? I don't buy that. I don't know.
This is business, man. I don't have time for supremacy and shit like that, man. It's money, you know what I mean? This shit is capital. I don't care about this. That's why I personally think that Donald Trump thinks about this.
That's another reason he's a terrible president, because he doesn't give a fuck about the people. He's worried about his numbers. He's not worried about this.
I was going to say
massive
divide.
We know
I
that.
I don't think it's actually about money. I think he just wants to have people who it's about numbers, it's about who he feels think that he's cool or think that he's still like in charge and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's why he's willing to do whatever.
He wants to be liked, so he's like, whoever likes me, I'll do whatever you say. Like
that's
all
nice
he wants.
impersonation. I like that.
I'll do whatever's on your side. Like, really, man, come on, that's it, man. Like, what was it? There's actually a person in the White House whose job they could pay $80,000 a year to do the single job, and this job is to find something positive in the media anywhere about Donald Trump, compile it into a folder, and have it ready for him in the morning. That's who we're dealing with.
It's totally possible. I heard that when Arnold Schwarzenegger was...
I know, right? Like, I'll do that shit.
When Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California, that he hired somebody on his team to keep old footage of him wilding out with girls and stuff like that back in his movie making days, mid 80s, to keep that shit out of the media. He hired somebody to hide that footage in those articles, which is why you never saw that when he was governor. But you don't want to see your governor of your state slapping some girl's ass.
Got through. Yeah. But it'd be great if there were more. And it'd be great.
Because you can't tell me Arnold
is a big place.
You can't tell me Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the early 90s, late 80s wasn't getting girls. Because, I mean, come on, man. He was the man. We're talking about Commando, all right? We're talking about the Predator, all right? This dude
what I'm saying?
We're talking
about Get to the Chopper.
Exactly. Get to the Chopper.
Like, that's all he had to say in the club. Like, Get to the Chopper. Like, oh, shit.
He said, get these girls to the chopper.
You probably have one, too.
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm saying? That dude got a roof. Get to the chopper. Like, okay.
Shit.
Shit.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger's the man.
Yo.
Yeah, that stuff in Charlottesville is crazy. Y'all want to try to transition to Trump before we go to this?
We're already on topic.
Trump.
We're still on Trump.
Apparently, Trump wants to rain fire and brimstone on North Korea. Was it fire and brimstone or was it
fire and fury?
The fire and brimstone. It's the same thing. Yeah, it was
pretty much
brimstone.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's not Trump. That was Satan.
Satan wants to bring fire and
Bring them in
brimstone.
fire and brimstone.
That would have been funny
Like-
if he had said fire and brimstone, though.
Real dude, that would
That would have been funny, though. That would have
out
been
of a
funny.
movie.
That would
I
have
might
been
have started
straight out of a movie. Like Fire and Fury just barely cut the straight out of the movie.
Like,
We're gonna bring fire and brimstone.
He can talk all he wants, man, but like, even though he does say these things, man, like people think it's a joke. I get a little nervous, man, because we live near DC. You know what I'm saying? So that blast zone, we're not safe. We're not
in the
safe.
radius.
We're still in the radius, right? So like, man, yo,
I would
slow
think
your
if
roll,
anything,
man. Slow your roll.
DC.
That'd be a Hail
and New
Mary
York.
for North Korea though. To go straight to DC and be like, all right, we got one chance at this.
Who else would they hit though?
DC.
Who else would they hit? If you had one
New
missile,
York.
right? New York. Now, who's in New York? Who's in New York?
That's
They,
why-
they would go
Yeah,
after.
true.
They would go after White House.
That's
Yeah.
why I would measure, or I was watching that video precast about the nuclear capabilities of North Korea. He was measuring the distance that a
The
missile could
altitude
travel.
and all
yeah,
that
the
stuff.
altitude laid out flat over land instead of straight up into the air. And he was saying he doesn't think that missile would actually hit because it would have to go across the Atlantic. It'd have to go up, get enough altitude and length to go across the Pacific, not the Atlantic, and actually land in DC. He said he'd probably think if they fired their best missile, it'd probably land somewhere maybe in the Midwest. Is what he was saying according to that
Okay, if
video.
it
I
hits
don't
the
know where video was
Midwest,
from.
right? But what about the radiation? What about the fallout and stuff? Like, would that still
But I
affect us?
would think as much as we spend on our military, we have capabilities, countermeasures.
We have
to-
like
to
a
counteract
LeBron
it.
missile to just smack that down in the air. And
I mean, right?
like
Because
fire the LeBron.
our military budget can't be so many hundreds of millions of dollars higher above other countries for nothing.
Unless
You know?
like the missile lands in Flint, then they're like, you know what? Don't worry about it.
We're done with that.
Bunch of
Yeah,
black
no,
people
yeah.
up there. Cool.
They're gonna land in Detroit.
It's like,
I know.
oh, you know, it's all right.
Yeah.
They're doing us a favor.
Woo!
So,
You know what I'm saying? Wipe his brows.
and this is why this guy is such a clown. It says that on Thursday, President Donald Trump ramped up his rhetoric on North Korea, saying, and this is according to via WorldStar by CNN. The video is from CNN. It says that his warning of bringing, quote, fire and fury to the isolated nation may not have been tough enough. So that comment wasn't tough enough on, as far as his warning to North Korea, which I'm like, so
What the fuck are you trying to do, Trump?
this is obviously going to be on YouTube. What do North Koreans think when they see something like this? Say your average North Korean. What do they think when they see this video?
When
think
they
your average
When the
North Korean
president
is
of another
foraging for
country
food.
is
when
threatening,
North Koreans are like hearing
hey, come on,
all the
is that foraging
censorship.
for food?
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
I
caught that. No, I caught that.
When they get all the censored stuff,
I was gonna let it
They
go.
said it was foraging.
he said no. He called that out.
Yeah, they said it was foraging. I was
After
like, hey,
all the
thanks for all that.
censorship, all the your average North Korean person,
Yeah,
right?
you're right,
After all
yeah.
the censorship, right?
How's the media?
The
there?
one thing
Yeah.
that they're gonna keep is that Donald Trump's gonna say fire and fury
to
and
build
they're-
up their political.
they're
agenda.
fear mongering too, and then they're gonna be like,
Same as we
"Yo,
are.
the guy's crazy. The guy's crazy."
That's how politics are. That's
Yeah,
how
they're gonna be
politics
like,
are.
oh no, Trump is trying to destroy our sovereign, peaceful nation.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're gonna say.
I heard something like a basic rule of politics and warfare is you can't go to war without the consent of the people because you need people to fight that war. So you have to manufacture consent.
You're
have to
giving
manufacture,
them more.
and he's giving them fire here.
Technically, it's in the American Constitution. Where we're not supposed to go to war without the consent of Congress, which is supposed to be a representation of the American people.
Supposed to.
Supposed to be, but and yet here we are, and yet we've been in Afghanistan and Iraq without actual consent or saying,
Or even
without an
Vietnam.
announcement, in Vietnam without actually saying we're officially at war. Yet here we are. This is ridiculous that's his thing. Even though, like, you have to wonder, like, are these people actually adhering to the Constitution?
Honestly, I think that for the U.S. to spend so much on our military budget, I mean, I think the thing that makes the U.S. so
500
scary is because
billion.
the technology that we have backing us. It's not just the manpower. Like China has more men than we do. Manpower. I think our technology is what our real strength is because now we can blow you up from half a world away. I mean, how many people have died in these Middle Eastern wars in the last 15 years? I mean, it was maybe 10,000 people, maybe, and that may be generous.
What if all
And
that
that's-
500 billion was just propaganda to make us think that we were stronger than most?
It was
I
have
haven't
to
seen.
be.
It was just ads.
Just ads, right? There's like 500 billions in ads.
But you can't flex. You can't flex like that to the rest of the world and not be able to back it up, right? Because these countries aren't punks.
Oh yeah, we got spies. Like Russia's got spies up in.
Russia's
Russia's
no punk. We're not just gonna punk Russia. Like we have to be better than these guys. To
Yo, man, I know you guys watch World
somehow.
Star. When you see any like Russian video, it's usually some like dude drinking like a bottle of vodka or like wrestling a bear or something crazy. So they can't be punked. You know what I'm saying?
Right. straight up vodka bottle by himself.
So that's why like we gotta back that shit up. That's where the 500 billion comes in.
You gotta back it up.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, here's the thing. I have worries about our leader, right? Like, say you have a great team and you have a shitty head. You have a shitty QB. Mm-hmm. You have a great team, shitty quarterback. What happens?
But is Donald Trump our leader? Yes, he holds president of the United States, which is the most visible, supposedly the highest point you can get to. But
Commander-in-Chief.
When you talk about economics and stuff like that, which all ties into the political process, and it's just too many people for him just to be the head of everything. Like, I don't know. I think he's carrying out the will of somebody else.
But have you seen the departments, right? Like departments in the cabinets, right, under the president, right? The heads of the directors of all these organizations, like they're either not filled or filled with somebody who's a corporate pawn, right? And Trump's definitely got his hand in the pocket of like these corporations, right? So he's doing whatever they say.
Oh, he knows the deal. He's a businessman himself.
Yeah, if they decide that their advantage is to go to war, and if we want to win it, like there's no way Trump is going to be able to sort this out. Like
war is always profitable. Maybe not to the
nuclear war though, right? Like, is a nuclear war profitable?
Which is
so that's different than what wars we've been dealing with.
Nuclear war is such a taboo word because nobody wins in the end. You know what I mean? Like,
but does Trump understand that?
We've all seen Terminator, Doomsday, or whatever it is, T-Day. You know what I mean? D-Day, whatever. You're like, nobody's gonna win. If I shoot a nuclear missile at
leaders win,
and you blow up Washington D.C. and I shoot one at you and I blow up,
1% wins. They profit.
But off of a nuclear war, though.
I mean, that's going to
like the fallout, you have radiation, you have mass death, you have a city, you have miles of destruction of which can do nothing with for a while until the radiation dissipates.
It's like the concept of nuclear war it's
a financial hole, I would imagine.
It really is taboo because it's like there's no way that you could ever possibly consider going to nuclear war, though, right? You know what I mean? Like that's just posturing. That's like when a peacock flails its tail or something. That's all Donald Trump is doing right here.
So y'all remember Kennedy though? So Kennedy, he was having the nuclear talks with the Russian guy's name Khrushchev. Anyway, during the Cold War, right? So this is what the whole Cold War was about because everybody was like. Missiles were pointed at America, Cuba, and Russia. Mm-hmm. And everybody was just like, shit, they could go down at any time.
Do something.
Right. And the one thing that Kennedy, he weighed his options. And the one thing that he put ahead of everything was as soon as he found out that even if one nuclear missile hit American soil, 60,000 people would die. And for him, for Kennedy, he decided at that point that was not an option.
It's not.
It's not
ridiculous.
But would Trump make that same decision?
I mean,
that's the scary part. Would Trump make the same decision with like 60,000 American people? That's okay.
Anybody who's considering that is not fit to be a leader.
You know who's not considering that is Kim Jong-un. He doesn't give a fuck.
You know, 60,000 actually, it sounds like a lot of people. It's actually not that much. If you look at if you look at Fairfax County, it's a little bit over 1 million people who live in Fairfax County. Over 1 million. So 60,000 is not that much.
It's not that much.
In the grand scale, but it
is a lot of people. But in the grand scale of things, right? So Kennedy, props to him. But like if you look at Donald Trump, though, 60,000, he probably has more employers than that.
Yeah, he's got more employees than that.
Just in the Trump.
He's got more illegal immigrants working.
I don't think Donald Trump is that irrational. I just don't.
You don't
rise to his position.
I like that. And
you don't rise to his position even before being president of the United States. Being that irrational and short-sighted.
Can we determine his position?
That's
right?
crazy.
He's the president. He's been rich his entire life.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with the same situation as Kim Jong-un. We're dealing with a man-child who never had to grow up.
First of all, he thought that health insurance cost $12 a year
That's what the fuck we talking about.
This guy thought that health insurance cost $12.
But I mean, in Donald Trump's defense,
He's not a real human being.
when's the last time he
Choking
paid
on
his
my
health
Pinocchio.
care bill?
I'm choking on my wine
You know?
here, yo.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey, in his
Can't
defense,
afford to choke on this.
when's the last time he paid his health care bill? He don't know. Trump don't know how much that
doesn't
shit
need
costs. He's like,
healthcare.
healthcare. It's like, I just
He-
go to
he
the
just
hospital.
buy the hospital.
I just have the doctor come by my house. What? You know, like, he doesn't know. Yeah, you gotta forgive him for that.
his doctor said he was the most
Oh,
healthiest
most
person
fit person, yeah.
ever. Like,
in history.
Ever.
In human history.
Ever. Usain Bolt back up.
Oh,
You know what I'm
shit.
saying? Like, no.
like that's his doctor.
Michael
if
Phelps,
you can
get outta
pay a
here.
doctor to say shit like that. Well, all right, the little quote was the most healthy president to ever exist. But look, he's not balling Obama, right? He's never gonna ball Obama.
yeah, that's what I was gonna
So
say.
I don't want
That's what's
to.
up.
Nobody wants to hear that shit. But that's the fact. That's what we're dealing with, right? So somebody who's been rich their entire life, I would argue, have some kind of affluence disorder, using the quotation mark to my fingers. Affluence disorder, where they don't recognize the true consequences of their actions. So when you look at Kim Jong-un, when I look at Kim Jong-un, I see a person who's been given everything his whole life, who doesn't really care about anything outside of himself and his
Supreme
own
leader.
benefit. And I see the same thing in Trump, right? I see the person who's been given everything his whole life. He's been able to lose on bets, to default on deals, and never had to pay a fucking
Never have
cent
to
out of his
actually
pocket.
pay a consequence.
He
for
never
it,
had
yeah.
a consequence in his life. So now he's looking at, if they tell him it's not going to be 60,000 anymore if there's a single nuclear bomb that drops in the United States. It's not going to be 60,000 anymore. It's going to be double that. It's going to be 120,000 people going to die if a single nuclear missile hits the United States. And Trump's going to say, it's not that bad. I can do that.
I'm not dying.
Yeah. Like, you guys have bunkers for me, right? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be all right. What about my family? Okay. I'll be all right.
You know, speaking of
That
like
impersonation, though.
yeah, that was a good. That was a good ass impersonation, man. You know what? Speaking of the Cold War and everything, you know, that's when the United States really freaked out. It's when that Russia had a missile base in Cuba. You know, and that's when shit really hit the fan. Like, oh, this shit's getting serious because throughout the United States history, we are kind of isolated in the world. You know, when you say the West, it's mainly the United States. Of course, you have Canada, Mexico, South America, but you think the big stick in the park is the U.S., and we've never had a threat that close to us, But I love the way they tied that in to X-Men First Class, though. That's what I thought about when you said that, you know what I mean? Remember how the X-Men First Class, they were going around to Cuba, and they had that shit was kind of cool, right? It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Then they fucked up with the X-Men Apocalypse. I don't know where they were going with that, but, shit was whack.
Yeah.
Yep. So, those are my last and final statements on Donald Trump and his fire and brimstone comments on North Korea. I don't know.
Look, guys, we all going to
I think a lot of this stuff is just posturing.
We're going to need some lead-lined blankets. I heard you can get them at Walmart.
Honestly,
He's going to run through the
Amazon.
streets. You know what I'm saying?
honestly, I don't think these guys are crazy enough to go to nuclear war. It's just posturing, like I think countries have to take it there, especially against the U.S., because nuclear is the only way you can actually maybe threaten us, right? Like, you're not going to shoot a cruiser missile, from your country A to the U.S. It's just, you're not going to be able to match us technologically that way, seeing as, again, how big our defense budget is. So you have to take it to a nuclear kind of threat. Well, we have nuclear capabilities, and it's like, we have to take that serious because, shit, if you really do, but you can't be that crazy, right? People, like, I give Kim Jong-un and Trump maybe too much credit, but they can't be that fucking crazy. That's some diabolical, I want to blow it. That's some 007, shit that you find a guy, the evil doctor who wants to, concoct this evil plan to take out a nation and, restore the old world order and shit. Like, that's some Hollywood movie shit that I give these guys the benefit of the doubt. They're not really, they're not that crazy.
Not that crazy.
Come on.
Makes sense.
Boom. You know what I'm saying? Let's just blow the fucking mushroom cloud over a couple miles up the street and shit.
Sorry, guys. This is IntelliGents Dee. Signing out.
IntelliGents Dee took signing out. Like, hey, look, like and subscribe.
Grab the wine. Grab the wine.
You gonna get blown up and shit. Oh man. Well, that's Donald Trump for us, man. I guess that's what our presidency has devolved to, just jokes and who knows and what's it's and whatnot. So you guys want to jump to the marijuana topic?
What a great segue, yo. We just need to chill out a little bit.
I know, right?
Spark one. Chill out a little bit. Spark one.
Me and Jay were talking earlier, like, what would be a great solution for these protests and these counter protests and these riots would be just a crop duster truck just dropping just either bags of weed or
J's everywhere.
Just J's, or maybe just drop all the contact smoke. Just crop spray the whole area with just contact smoke, and everybody just in that joke just damn, son.
Why are we out here, yo?
Why the fuck am I out here?
It's hot.
Okay, shit.
Well, I pulled up the article as far as I think that Juce and
Jay
sent it. Yeah, definitely pulled it up.
Juice.
From the Virginia State Crime Commission.
So this is like a heads up. If you are in Virginia, right? If you're in Virginia and you are a marijuana partaker, you partake of the either you want to call it a sacrament, or if you want to call it a whatever you want to call it. If you need it medicinally, you take it recreationally. There's an announcement that came from the Crime Commission of Virginia, the state of Virginia, and I'm just gonna read through the initial statement. The Virginia State Crime Commission is currently studying the topic of decriminalization of simple possession of marijuana. Crime Commission staff values information and insight from parties and stakeholders with an interest in this topic. However, due to the level of interest in this particular study, staff will be unable to meet individually with everyone.
Meaning they're going to have a big ass crowd there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're expecting a lot
So
of
they're
people.
saying, please send written comments and any other information / materials relevant to the study via email to vscc@vscc.virginia.gov or via postal mail to our office address below by 5 p.m. August 25th, 2017, and that address definitely said below, but there's no address on here. Anyway, send an email. Send an email. Send an email. Send an email with your your position. Send an email with your recommendation. Send an email with information that they can use to consider in decriminalizing simple possession of marijuana. And hopefully this could be Virginia's first step towards legalization for medical use, or Virginia's and eventually Virginia's step to legalization for recreational use.
At least decriminalize.
At least decriminalize this, because look, there's no other way to put it. Like, this is one of the number one reasons people are in jail. The drug war is one of the most detrimental things to happen to the American citizen in the country. Like, there's no two ways about it, man.
And seeing as how marijuana is a cheap drug, pretty much with cheap clientele, I mean, it's not heroin or something like that. It's more geared towards people who don't have a lot of money to spend. I mean, you can go spend $20 and get a bag of weed and smoke it and feel all right. Which is, the same reason you said that it's one of the biggest reasons that people are locked up. I think it's one of the biggest reasons they won't want to decriminalize it, because it feeds the criminal, the
prison industrial complex.
Prisons, it feeds it. You can lock somebody up for an ounce of weed that they are not causing harm to maybe anyone. You're not gonna. And
they're sharing a bunk with some dude who's in there for murder.
Axe murderer who killed the face off his
like
victims, right?
Some real criminal, as opposed to some 21-year-old kid who wanted to sell some weed real quick just to make. I mean, how much money are you gonna get selling weed? You know how much money you gotta. You know how much you gotta actually sell.
$200?
You gotta sell
maybe a couple
pounds of that shit to make money.
That's serious.
So it's really not, but it's a good easy way for them to lock up minorities and to keep the prisons filled up.
So I've been reading this, listening to this audiobook. It's written by Jesse Ventura. You guys know, the governor of Minnesota.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
The Body Ventura.
Used to be the Body. I'd still go by the Body. I wouldn't go by Jesse Ventura. Leo, call me the Body. It's hard.
So we're here with Mr. The Body, and so he wrote this book called The Marijuana Manifesto, and he goes into, I'm only in the third chapter of this book, but he's going in depth into how much marijuana was used in American society and how important it was for American life, for American finances, for our economy, all before the drug war really took off in the 60s, the late 60s, right? Mm-hmm. All before that happened, and also the state of the American people, like this book argues that at the point the DEA and the FDA, at the point that where the DEA started heading forces and taking control of the drug war, like at that point the police became the enemies of the common American person, right? Mm-hmm. Like, of course, police were always issues before, even the black communities, but they weren't kicking in doors before the drug war. They weren't doing such egregious things before the drug war. They weren't always so violent or so invasive before the drug war because they didn't have reason to be. They were dealing with actual crime of stealing, dealing with actual crimes of violence and murder,
or being black,
or being black in the wrong place, right?
Yeah, being but black even
still, they just didn't have the same incentive of you look like you have drugs, or you look like a druggie, or you. But
I would say, in defense of the drug war, it's just I think that's just a political front to kind of keep the American population or the average citizen, as you say, focused in one direction. I mean, there's no war on drugs. You don't want to end drugs. You know how much money that brings in every year.
Yeah, you're right.
And also, like the war on drugs, I would think that the average person, right? Like, me personally, I don't want my next door neighbor smoking heroin and coming outside and hanging out around my son and my kid, or whatever. Like, I think that most people don't want drugs running rampant throughout their community and their neighborhood. So there does need to be some kind of a law enforcement push or war against it.
I would argue, so that's the thing, man. Like, right, I would argue against it because that same person who's doing heroin and hanging out with your kids, the person could just as well be an alcoholic, just out there hanging out with the drink, hitting his drawers, pissing on himself.
But then again, you don't want that either. Like,
you don't want
I don't want a hard alcoholic
hanging
out with my kid.
You know what deals with that though is, like you said, law enforcement. But it's because they're a disturbance.
Let me clarify, not hanging out with my kid or just being around when my kid is out front and playing with other kids. You don't want an alcoholic running through. You don't want a heroin addict or a coke addict, or maybe some people think that they don't want a weed addict there. Which leads me to ask, and I asked this a couple weeks ago, Juice specifically.
Specifically.
Now, more specifically to the point is, why do you care so much about legalization of marijuana, Juice? Because I've noticed your stance on this dating back cast ago, and you've always been a proponent of legalization and decriminalization of marijuana.
Which one are you more?
My question is why?
Because you don't use it. You know what? I'm gonna add to that. Are you more about legalizing or more about decriminalizing?
So the second one is harder, but
I would say more decriminalizing than for me personally.
Decriminalizing,
criminalize shit,
but legalization as well. But here's the thing: so I don't partake often because it wasn't really my recreational thing of choice, right? It just wasn't. But the fact is that I've had friends who have been locked up for marijuana possession when they've really done nothing wrong, right? And I've seen it destroy people's lives. And not the marijuana itself. They weren't addicts. They weren't selling their cars to get a hit on a joint.
You ever suck dick for marijuana?
That never happens. But they've been chased down by the police. They've been locked up by the police through invasive and over policing of a person who had really done nothing wrong other than sitting around. And even on top of that, it's a detriment to the American community. Like there's 1,000 political reasons we can call, but to me mostly it's a detriment to the black community and it's a detriment to the American community. Like that's it really. When you look and you see a cop car pull up, like what are they looking for, man? Mm-hmm. Like they pull you over because you have a tail light out and they want you to search your car for what? Mm-hmm. For the fuck what? It's because they're looking for drugs so they could pin you on some bullshit.
Hell yeah.
That's why. Like
it's crack on them,
Exactly. And even the fact that they are able, we've seen it twice now in the last couple of weeks in Baltimore, where the police cameras have caught police
hell yeah.
Like planting drugs.
That shit. Hell
You know what that would be if drugs weren't illegal just to possess? It wouldn't be shit. You could drop drugs on somebody and wouldn't mean shit because that person didn't do anything. Now, I agree 100% that if a person creates a physical act, if you have a person high and coked out and he's walking around the streets naked, I think the police could come get him. If you have a person that's drunk on his ass and he's in that jail starting fights in the bar, I think the police could come get him. I think that if you have a person who's trying to sell her child for a hit on cocaine, I think the police should be involved. But the fact that that those crimes should be preempted. If those crimes are preempted when you haven't done anything, because not everybody's going to do that. If those crimes are preempted, then the police have overstepped their bounds and have taken away the freedom of the American people, man. Like, that's it. Like,
I can see overstepping your bounds because
that's 100%
speaking as someone
my
who has used marijuana, marijuana does not make you react and act in those ways where you'll be running around the streets butt naked or where you'll be fiending for it to the point where you'll be fiending for it to the point where you'll sell your car, sell your. It's not a thing, man. It's not addictive in that
calm the fuck
way.
Down.
You know,
yeah.
Which is why it's being legalized in some places because it's a scientific fact that it doesn't do those things to you.
It's a fact, and the fact is that Dare lied to us as children. It's the fact that,
but I still like Nixon, Dare Fridays though.
It was fun because we got out of class.
And I think
they should get out of class for being aware of alcohol.
I would say you
get out of class.
You have to cut Dare some slack because scientific progress has gone a lot further since the days we were in the DARE program in elementary school.
With marijuana, no, that was already known.
I mean,
that was known in the 70s and the 60s.
It's still, we were coming out of the 80s, crack epidemic. It swept the country, especially in places like New York, LA, probably even Washington, D.C., right? I mean,
yeah, definitely. Big crack.
You know, drugs was kind of that thing where it was the boogeyman. Oh, don't stay away from drugs, kids. And for the most part, they were right. I don't want my kid doing coke or heroin or ecstasy or speed or and when we say drugs, I'm including prescription drugs in that too. I mean, you don't want your kid hooked on
epidemic.
Yeah, you don't want your kid hooked on fucking pain relievers and shit like that, you know. But I think marijuana is kind of in a different class than most of those because just the dependency on it is not there. You're not going to break out into a cold sweat if you don't have marijuana. You're just going to feel like I want to smoke, you know, or you're going to feel like I want to use this thing, but it's not like to the levels we've seen somebody going through withdrawals from even painkillers or, you know, a more hard drug like a heroin or something like that. I mean,
oh no, it's not an even spread on how to deal with the situation. I feel like people who, if you're high and you're coked out, right, or if heroin is your thing and you need that and you can't walk down the street because you can't feel pleasure anymore for under any circumstance without this artificial serotonin stimulant, then that's a medical condition. Mm-hmm. I feel like those are medical conditions, and locking these people away in jail is not the solution. So and I feel like as well that people being, if we're truly free Americans, you should have the right to experiment with yourself under any circumstance. If your sexual fetish if your sexual fetish is hanging from fucking pins and needles in your fucking skin, you should be allowed to do that.
But what if your sexual fetish is filling up little kids as they walk by? You know
then you'll deal with that.
No, you don't want somebody doing that. So it depends on what it is exactly, you know?
No. So here's the thing. No, you can't do that because that affects somebody else, right? That's affecting somebody else.
So only when it affects yourself.
It's the same as religion, right? Like, people can worship any way they want. A woman can wear a burqa if she wants to, right? It's her choice. It affects nobody else. People, for religious reasons, they can cut themselves. I feel like if that's what you feel like your religion teaches you to do, you can do that.
So as long as it doesn't affect other people.
As long as it doesn't hurt other people. As long as it doesn't hurt other people, right? So we're talking about heroin. If we're talking about people who are dealing with the effects of heroin and the fact that, they can't do anything, so they have to rob and steal, right? Mm-hmm. In that act of robbing and stealing, they should be arrested. And they should put into an institution in which they can get the help they need. They shouldn't be locked into a prison cell and then sent upstate for 14, 15 years.
So is it legalization or decriminalization of marijuana or reform of the prison system?
I believe in working in layers. If we're talking about me personally, I believe in working in layers. I say we should focus on decriminalization, focus on legalization after that.
Because I think reform of the prison system is a big part of this
That-
too. Because
that's
people
gonna
have
be-
to
that's a
come out
huge thing.
being better than they were when they went in.
But the thing is,
When you let somebody go to jail and just sit for years over a petty
see,
crime.
like the thing that bothers me
You could
about
focus on-
the prison population or the prison system, I should say the prison system, is that it's a correctional facility, right? But there is no correction. It's more of a containment.
yeah, it's
facility.
containment. Exactly.
And to me, it's like, what are you doing? Like, 50% of people who are released will go back
Every
within
prison
the
should have a
first
mission
year,
statement,
kind of thing.
and that should involve correcting and helping people recommit or reaffirm themselves in society. Every prison, in order to get any government funding, should have the most prerogative to fix themselves and set themselves up back into society to thrive.
Okay, well, I will.
So I hope that answers the question.
I understand all that.
Yeah.
I was just wondering because you're not a big user of the said product, but you so fervently support legalization and decriminalization of it. But I do have a article here that I saw that I thought was kind of relevant to this topic. I saw it. It's of course via the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. It says a new study shows smoking marijuana can triple your chances of dying from high blood pressure. Now, I guess this goes to maybe smoking the product as opposed to other ways you can consume it. I don't know anybody who would think that smoking a carcinogen into your body is a good thing.
I mean,
it doesn't matter what it is.
Cigarettes raise your blood pressure.
But real talk though,
Same thing.
if you eat cheeseburgers every day, that's gonna triple your blood pressure too. So I mean,
Yeah, but the cheeseburger,
So,
the
I
cheeseburger
mean, like-
is good as shit, though.
well, yeah, but you can
Okay.
abuse anything though.
So
look,
you can
after a
abuse
while-
cigarettes, you can abuse like alcohol, you can abuse marijuana, you can abuse cheeseburgers. So again, like
So this says uploaded August 11th, 2017.
What was it
the date.
uploaded to? Sorry?
Of course, I got to be a World Star. But it's from the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. It says a just released study found that people who smoke pot have a 3 times greater risk of dying from hypertension or high blood pressure. That's compared to people who have never used marijuana. The study was published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology. Researchers examined 1,200 people for 6 years. They found death rates from high blood pressure were associated with people who reported using pot. Researchers said we already knew THC, the active ingredient in marijuana, can cause serious side effects like increased heart rate, but this is the first study that looked at marijuana's long-term effects from use. Which, again, speaking as somebody who has used marijuana, I have had episodes where my heart was beating too fast. You ever heard of like a panic attack? You know what I mean? I had a panic attack when I was high before.
You can get paranoid.
but
Paranoid
what
as
about
hell.
drinking though? Same thing.
Drinking is the same thing. Even eating cheeseburgers, like you said, is the same thing. But I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought it might be
As a
relevant to the
fact,
marijuana topic.
as a fact, I feel like that's relevant. You know what I'm saying? But I also feel like.
But you're also a grown ass man. You can
Yeah,
do what
exactly.
You want.
You can do what you want. Like if you can't, if for that reason, if that's the reason, it's like, oh no, we definitely shouldn't legalize because your heart may
You know when I had that panic attack, we
Well, then-
hotboxed.
well,
we hotboxed the car, so we smoked
Well,
that joint with all the windows up. You
Well, I
know
was
what
gonna
I
say
mean?
is like, look,
No,
man,
I,
look, if
I got out that joint. Like it was when the sniper
Yeah.
shit, the DC sniper shit was going on. No, I called my sister. Yo, you need to stay in the house. You know what I mean?
Well, I was gonna say is like, look, man, like
Panic
if
attack right there.
high blood pressure, yeah, I get that, you know what I'm saying. But at the same time, though, like, well, what about alcohol then? What about like cigarettes?
Yeah.
Like, why are those not criminalized then? You know what I'm saying?
If
Like, why are we
anything-
picking and choosing?
Because
With
those
our
are
science-
regulated.
With our science on cigarettes,
We can regulate
and
marijuana.
tobacco,
You could, but
with our
people can
science on
grow
those
it.
things,
You can't really regulate.
there's no reason cigarettes should be legal. Like
There's no reason.
People
No.
make their own
cigarettes should be legal.
alcohol
Mhm.
though. But the thing
True.
is, I think it's because the lobbying companies, the corporations of alcohol companies, they're the ones that's pushing all this money. That's why
Right.
they're able to have more lobbyists. It's why they're able to have these
Pharmaceutical
laws.
companies
Exactly.
and alcohol companies.
That's what I'm saying.
Like this is competition for both of them. So if anybody's being truly honest, so the DEA, the director of the DEA, who came out, what was it, last year, and said, we're reviewing this marijuana situation, and he said some shit about we're not sure it's safe. If they're being 100% honest, it's not financially safe for them. They're not gonna. First off, the DEA is gonna fucking fall apart. If there's no drug war, there's no DEA. For what reason would they exist? They will be slow and it will be devastating, but they will fall apart.
Kind of like the TSA, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And so they don't want that to happen. It is weird because we're asking the opinion of people who are in charge, who are benefiting the most from the drug war, from the having these substances illegal. And we're asking them for their clearance. It's like, no, if those become legal, then they have no job. Like, what was it in the book I was just mentioning? He mentioned that back when it first started, the budget was $75 million, but now the budget for the DEA is like $80 billion. Like $80 billion a year. That's what they get to deal with the drug war going on now. And it's like, so
what war?
How can you end drug use?
All it
I don't
is.
understand.
The only war is a war against the people, man. Honestly,
it is. I think it is.
That's what it is, man. It's a reason to lock people up.
It's a measure of control over the masses of people to say that there's a drug war, quote in quotations, because how can you stop the use of drugs? If you look
at the amount of people who have died from tobacco use a year, which is 400,000, or alcohol related, all that stuff, right? Compared to like marijuana usage, it's a huge discrepancy there.
Yeah. But just like you said, there's no way cigarettes should be legal. If we're going off pure science and scientific studies, the cigarette should be as illegal as heroin. Evidence. I mean, right? Because the death rates for smoking tobacco is 20 times higher.
But
I mean, it's crazy.
The fact that it's legal,
it's gone down a little bit, but it's still ridiculous.
Right. So the fact that that's legal, at least decriminalize marijuana.
At least decriminalize, right? And it's the hemp situation, man.
I don't think they ever will.
The textiles you can do from hemp. So what was it? There was there was a couple facts that were dropped in that book that I thought were crazy cool. He said that because of the rarity of certain seeds of marijuana seeds, that back in when did their country start? 1700s?
Somewhere in there.
1776.
Anyway, so back in the era, they were illegal, but there was one man who took the chance to import some of these seeds of marijuana from, I think, East Asian countries, and it was Thomas Jefferson. This dude ended up being the third president of the United States. The third president of the United States was like one of the first drug mules ever in this country. So there was another thing talking about how hemp and marijuana, or at least hemp, I'm not sure about marijuana, but anyway, hemp was a mandatory crop for the settling farms in the country.
I heard the three big things that farmers had to grow were tobacco, hemp, and cotton. And
hemp was a number one export. Like in school, we learned it was tobacco.
It was cotton. Cotton. Tobacco, yeah. But you never hear about hemp.
Fuck you think slaves were picking?
You never hear about
slaves
hemp.
were picking weed like a mother.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
All that junk.
Down south, Louisiana territory. I mean, you're going to grow that shit. I mean, duh.
And and if you didn't grow, you had potential of being arrested and in prison for it. That was another thing. I was like, wow, that's crazy, man. And yet somehow today it's illegal to have a joint, man. Like we can't even use it to produce anything. We can't produce anything with hemp.
I think it just goes to economics that you can't really regulate the manufacture of it the way you can cigarettes or cotton or anything like that. People can grow hemp. You can pick a room in your new apartment here, Juice, and grow hemp in it. Or grow cannabis and weed. So it's just the unregulatory nature of this said product is the reason that there's such strong opposition to decriminalizing it, because there's no benefit. We decriminalize it, we try to make it legal, people grow it anyway, and we still don't profit off of it. As it is now, we're profiting off of it by locking people up.
Right.
You know what I mean? By sending people to jail for it.
Way. But
at
people
least we
are
get
dying
something
from
out of
it every year, man. The Mexican cartels, man, like these drug cartels, like as it's becoming more and more legal, like they're doing business in other areas because they have to. And it's so backwards because they're making money off of this in such a backwards way at the detriment of human lives. So it's ridiculous, man.
It is wild.
There was a couple other things I forgot.
It definitely is wild. But yeah. Any more to say on marijuana? Marijuana.
I would say, man, for any Virginia resident, definitely email.
Yeah,
email
please.
And write. Because like even if you don't partake, like still, we shouldn't lock offenders up, and have them be in the same like unit or like room with like child molesters or even like.
So I think that goes to reform of the justice system. That goes to reform of prisons. Like we have to figure out there are levels to this shit, right?
Sure,
like a child molester is not as egregious as a someone who sold a nick of weed.
Sure, but the thing is,
But we
what's
put them in the same
easier-
place.
What's easier to arrest? Who is easier to arrest? Right? There are more like marijuana users, for example, than there are like say gangbangers. Right? As a result, that's just easy picking. You know what I'm saying? And chances are, if this guy smokes weed, he's probably going to do it again, after he's released. Right? Like, someone who murdered somebody, they might not murder again. He's like, oh, it probably could, heat of the moment kind of thing. He probably fucked up. He probably just, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Marijuana, though, like,
anybody who's done marijuana realizes that this is not a
that.
danger. Like, this is not it.
So the chances of him being rearrested might be a little bit higher. So as a result, that's money. That's money. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of private corporations, they own the prison system. And they have these things called the minimum quota sentence, where basically these private corporations are having these prisons, and which the state is operating on. And they have to say the minimum quota is, they have to have anywhere between 91 to like 94% occupancy.
Right. To
Right.
fill the beds,
So you have to fill the beds. And you know what? If the beds are not filled, the state pays.
Have you guys watched
We get fined.
the documentary 13th?
Yeah, I watched that joint.
Yeah,
Netflix.
And
that's what
the
it talks about.
taxpayers, we're the ones that's paying for this. But it's so backwards, so that we're forcing more lockups in order so that we don't get fined as a state, which is stupid. So again, like
They're on desperate hunt to find people to
exactly
arrest.
Easy picking people. Well, let's say like, oh, he's black, let's get him. He just sprinkle some crack on him, Johnson.
Which is why a lot of these,
or marijuana, easy. Like, it's not decriminalized. Boom, boom, boom.
which is why a lot of these prisons are privatized, because for the people who own these complexes, it's a win-win either way. They're going to make money either way.
And they
you're
drop
going to
a
lock more
cut to
people
the
up.
people in charge in the state. They drop a cut of those proceeds,
Of course,
to the police departments
to
They
influence
donate. They
the procedures from day to day.
And
It's crazy, man.
And you know what?
it's a backward system that needs to be put a stop to.
Because we're talking about, like, the whole, like, racism and all this other stuff, right? Because this ties in too, you know what I'm saying? If you look at, say, felonies, right? Felons who have committed, felonies and whatnot, right? Marijuana, if you carry, a 3-strike you're out rule kind of thing, you have no chance of parole.
Right.
This is a life sentence. 3 strikes you're out, regardless of what it is. Even if you just got caught with, like, a dime bag or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, 3 strikes, right? Not only are you a felon, so you're fucked for life. Even before that, even if you are out, the second or third time, right? Like, you can't even vote anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you have less rights as a felon than you did as a slave. Like, if you compare that, it's like, holy fucking shit, man.
Like, well, at what point? How is this America at all?
You can't
How is
use
this
social
America that
benefits. You can't use government assistance. You can't rent. You can't even go to apartments because they do background checks. Oh, you're a felon? No, I don't think so. You can't vote, which is a basic human right. Like, you
Right.
can't, yeah, like,
You can't participate in your government.
you're done.
decision.
You're done.
Yeah, he's like, why even live in? Yeah, and
Why
then,
even
so
live in the U.S. anymore?
even to exist, you have to. It's a stronger chance for you to be what do you call it? Recidivism. For recidivism, because you can't integrate back into society because of all those things you mentioned. Because of all this, they cannot reintegrate back into society. So they have to exist. They have to eat. They have to survive. They find alternative means, and those alternative means ultimately land them back into.
I had a recent
Think
situation
about the
recently
millions.
just like that.
I was gonna say, think about the millions of people behind bars right now that they can't vote. Like, we could have had another president. We could have had a better candidate. Think about these things, but they're denied the chance to even vote. So again, like, decriminalization, like, this is huge. Legalization, I don't really give a fuck. If you guys want to legalize it, that's cool. I'll vote for it. That's fine. But for me, like, the biggest deal is decriminalization. Like,
I feel you on that, yeah.
You can't do this.
So, guys, I'm going to say it again. Please send the email. You have to talk to the Crime Commission of Virginia.
shout out to the email again.
Yeah, the email address is vsccinfo@vsccvirginia.gov. vsccinfo@vscc.virginia.gov.
Before the 25th.
Before the 25th. And just make your voice heard, right? Also, we have a not primaries. We have the actual governorship coming up in November. Vote, people, vote. This is where it's going to matter. That shit's going on in Charottesville.
Your vote
You
is
vote.
so powerful.
Your vote now is imperative.
Doesn't matter if you're rich, you're poor, black, white. Your vote is so powerful.
And if you black, dude,
Vote.
Get your ass out there.
God damn it, vote.
Just
so serious, man.
Just watch out for the KKK out there. That's all. You know.
Bring it.
You can get
Bring
shot
that
while you out
shit,
there.
son.
All right. Well, I'm not sure how long the cast been running for, but you guys want to any other thing to say on the marijuana topic? I got a couple articles for the run and gun. I don't know if you guys got anything.
Oh, I was about
else
to
you
say,
wanna mention.
I got a couple of.
And I meant to say this whole time I've been sitting here, Juice. This chocolate was good as hell. I don't know what these are, but you gonna eat this?
Kinder?
'Cause I'm
No,
about to snatch the hell out of this joint, man. Like, what are these things called?
Kinder, yo.
Choco bonds. Am I saying that right?
I have no idea.
That's
but I'm Belgian
HOKO
chocolate.
bonds. Them shits are good, man.
It's
You ate
Kinder,
yours?
man. Kinder.
That shit was good. I don't know what the hell these are.
Shout out
Bonbons.
to Belgium chocolate.
Yeah, I should have grabbed a whole handful when she came.
If
through.
Belgium was the
Bag.
sponsor, you know what I'm
That
saying?
bag.
The whole country
What
of
about
Belgium.
what about
yeah.
Okay,
called,
so
could be the-
Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, let's talk about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I didn't think it was as good. Did we review Spider-Man? No,
No,
because
not
last
yet,
cast
not
we had
yet.
we had the conspiracy cast.
All right, so a couple months ago, the movie Spider-Man came out.
It was a couple months ago. All right, it was like last month.
It's like last
It was,
month.
it was January. It was
All right,
July
fine.
7th.
It's been a while since we had a podcast. All right,
So I hope everyone watched it already,
of course.
spoilers,
including
Spoiler.
our listeners.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, if you haven't seen Spider-Man by now, like, come on, it's been a month since it came out.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It was decent.
I went and saw my nephew and
for
niece. They
a
liked
movie
it.
in itself.
It was good.
For a movie, it's pretty good.
If this movie came out right after Tobey Maguire's movies, I'd be like, "What? This was amazing. This is the best movie."
I thought
ever.
Andrew Garfield did. Really
I did
good.
like Andrew
I
Garfield.
like
Andrew-
I like the
thought-
Amazing Spider-Man movies better.
I thought
thought-
the
okay,
dialogue in
you
Andrew
know what?
Garfield's movies was
I thought
whack.
Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was better.
Yeah. And
However,
I think the fight scenes, the action scenes in Andrew Garfield's movie were better.
the
too.
Homecoming was amazing. However,
I don't know. Spider-Man 2 with Dr. Octopus
I
was
also
probably
say
the best one
I
out
was
of all of
I was
them.
gonna say this new one though. His Peter Parker was really good.
Yeah.
He was a
Yeah,
good Peter
because he
Parker.
was a kid,
Peter Parker
he was
was really
funny,
good.
you know.
But Spider-Man, like Homecoming, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, I thought that guy was legit.
I thought they didn't go hard enough in this movie. Like, I thought maybe he didn't go hard enough as a superhero. Like, I'm going to grab this shit by the reins and take control. But maybe that fits the narrative because he's supposed to be a new superhero, a teenage boy who's coming of age and learning how to use his powers and what he's using them for. So maybe that's better that he didn't go as hard as, say, like a Captain America would or Iron Man would, you know?
So what you guys think about it then? Because you already said that you didn't really like it that much.
No, I loved it. I thought it was
Okay,
good, but
okay.
I just didn't think that he went. I didn't think his scenes were as tough, you know, like that. You can't tell me that last fight scene you weren't just a tad bit disappointed. Like
bit.
that's it, you know, like
I
that's
was a
it.
little bit.
I was a little bit underwhelmed with
you
that
think,
last
Juice?
fight scene. looked
Personally,
good, though.
I thought Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was better. The action scenes, you're right, it was a better Peter Parker in this movie, but at the same time, it wasn't Peter Parker, right? Like at the same time, I'm watching this movie and I'm like, this isn't at all what I would have as we know Peter Parker historically. They put a different spin on it because they stole the story from
But that shit,
Brian Michael Bendis, Miles Morales.
but that
So-
shit was cool when he got locked in that little room and the little computer was the only company that he had. He was talking to her about the girl and shit. Remember the little computer that Tony put into his suit?
Karen.
That was cool, right?
Like,
I was
for
wow.
the MCU, this is great. For
Yeah.
the MCU, this is cool, man. Like, if you're gonna respin a Spider-Man story that we've seen 5 times already, then this is the way to do it. Like,
What you think about his buddy Genki? I forgot his name in the movie. but
Yeah.
Ned? Yeah,
Ned,
right. Ned Leeds, yeah,
AKA
like,
Kenki Lee.
Gank. Yeah, it's definitely Gank. But
He was
come
cool.
on, man. Like, he was funny. He was funny.
He was
though.
funny.
I liked him, dude.
The chair
Like,
dude, yeah.
I like
Yo,
it.
he was like, "Say, what are you doing in here?"
I'm watching porn.
I think for all the movies we've seen of Spider-Man, you know, to reboot Spider-Man and introduce him to the MCU, this was probably the best way. I can't wait to see what happens next because I want to see where Tony Stark takes him.
I will
Like,
say,
what is he going to
kill him.
learn from this movie?
They're gonna kill him.
They're not going to
They're
kill him.
gonna
No.
kill him.
I would
son.
say, you know what?
They're not going to kill Peter Parker.
I would say
Too many
I
kids,
did
too
have
many
one
people.
problem with the movie though. Okay, I was talking with my good friend Frank. Shout outs to Good Games podcast.
Yo, Good Games podcast.
But
Y'all gonna be on this on soon.
so we
Y'all gonna be on this
we
soon.
watched it. We watched the movie again yesterday night, and we were talking about this. And you know, he asked me, he's like, "What do you think?" I was like, "You know what? I really like the movie, but there's one thing that I felt intrinsically was off about Spider-Man." And after we spoke about it, you know, Frank, he was like, "Absolutely, that's exactly what I thought." When you think of Spider-Man, what are some of the abilities that you think about?
Spider
Spider
sense.
sense.
there was no spider
There
sense
was
at all.
no fuck.
And
Son,
At all.
straight up.
No, and that bothered me because if you look at, say, Andrew Garfield's Spider
Yeah.
Sense, boom, it was
It's a
was
big part of
incredible.
who Spider-Man is.
Right, because the web slinging, he made it himself. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? There's other, like comics where he actually shoots webs or this and that, right? But his biggest
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, the webs came out of his wrist.
Yeah.
He didn't have web shooters.
So the biggest thing
Which is kinda
about
gross.
it was
Yeah.
the biggest thing about this one though, right, is like Spider Sense was gone.
Right.
If you look at, say,
Or can
Logan,
we look at it like,
if you look at
he hasn't developed his spider sense yet? Maybe
No,
he's
no, no,
still
no, no,
young
no,
in his
no,
powers.
hell no,
The
hell no.
first thing he gets.
But
That's
he
the first
said
thing
that
he
he
gets.
just got those powers maybe in Civil War. He said it just happened
Right, but
a
if
year
you-
ago.
But if you
Something
look at the
before?
comics,
so maybe it hadn't developed.
But the
yet
thing
to
is, if you
point
look at
he
the
knew what
comics,
it was.
if you look at the comics, right, after he gets bit by that radioactive spider ray, shit gets crazy, loud,
He
and all
starts
this stuff, right?
sensing
And
everything,
he starts
yeah.
walking into traffic, right? Spider Sense goes crazy, and he jumps over a car because the car's about to hit him. He lands on a wall, and he's hanging by the wall. Right? It
Which
saves
It's his
life.
automatic reactions. These things he gets.
If you look at
It's,
Logan,
it's on a psychic level.
Which I thought
if you look at
Daredevil
Logan
was a
or
little better.
Wolverine, right? Like his ability is super healing, right? Yeah, he gets claws and all that later on, right? But like the biggest thing about him is his healing ability, right?
Spider-Man's half Spider-Man without the spider
Right,
sense.
Spider-Man, his basic ability, the most foundation, right?
Makes it
spider sense.
It's the reason he can. It's the reason he can make jokes in the middle of a fight with a crazy dangerous dude.
Yeah, but that works in the comics. It might not work in the cinematic.
When he was fighting the
But it
Shocker,
has worked
right? When he's fighting
recently.
the Shocker, and the Shocker like hits the bus, and he gets hit by a big ass bus.
he should have saw that coming.
He should have saw that
Yeah,
coming,
he should have.
right?
For you.
Or like when he was fighting the,
But at the same time,
like the Vulture dude
with those things,
in the thing, yeah, like even
he
the
should have saw that
wingsuit, or
coming.
even like when the whole like the column drops.
Which
on
that was
him,
probably the most
right?
emotionally
Like,
heavy part of the movie is
it
when that
was.
thing fell on him and he couldn't get up. I was like, oh
That-
shit, is he gonna get crushed?
Yeah, that was intense.
Yeah, I
but
was
the
like,
thing is, like,
what the hell's going on?
no spider sense. Even in the cartoons where they had the little waves coming out,
Right.
like what is that? Like,
But
The spider sense is Spider-Man's power.
Speaking of Logan got old in this last movie. He started to lose his healing factor, right? Maybe Spider-Man was too young to really develop the Spidey sense the way he should have.
See, but in the comic,
maybe
though,
in
after
a
he
year,
gets
2
bit,
years, 3
after
years,
he gets-
he'd have that.
But the thing
You know,
is,
he'd
in the
have that
comic,
attuned
when he
spider
gets
sense.
bit, right, he's already disoriented, discombobulated, whatever, right?
Which I
But
think
he
Daredevil
still
had a
has-
better realization of his power. Remember in the Ben Affleck Daredevil, he hits he wakes up in the hospital, he can sense all the shit
Yeah.
outside the doors and shit. You know, that was a little bit better one, but whatever.
But still, like
I thought it was a
Spider
good
sense is
movie.
his power.
In a
Like,
sense.
Would you rather be
Spider-Man's not
Spider-Man or
Spider-Man.
Daredevil?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Only because
But Daredevil essentially had the same thing because he had the little
props to
webs
Murdoch,
coming out of his.
props to
not
Murdoch,
strength.
and props to
He's human.
all of our viewers out there who may have some vision impairment, right? But like being able to see is this. It's well, not only is it awesome, but
It is awesome, but
being a man with glasses-
If your other four senses go up to superhuman levels, you can pretty much see. It's sonar, you know what I mean? Like I can't see you sitting in front of me,
Sure.
but I can see you, you know?
But
Like,
I
We
mean,
saw
like,
fan theories now for
of course.
future. All right, so
let's go.
right, I feel like this is the incomplete Spider-Man. Anyway, because of the spider sense thing, he didn't have it. I noticed it in the movie.
I noticed
Everybody,
it, but it didn't
I was
bother me.
frustrated.
It didn't bother me.
It bugged me.
It bothered me.
It bugged the shit out of me.
Maybe
But-
when that bus hit him, I was like, okay, where's the spider sense?
So
'Cause you
fan
just saw
theory.
that.
Fan theory. I remember Donald Glover in the movie.
Yeah,
He had a
yeah,
small
yeah,
role.
yeah.
He had a
Small
corner
nephew.
role. Right. He mentioned
The
his
nephew
nephew.
is Miles
So if
Morales.
you guys have seen the Spider-Man comic books, Miles, the new Spider-Man, the Ultimate Universe, his uncle was a Prowler. The Prowler is pretty much just a small-time criminal he's really good at breaking into things, and gets mixed up in a bunch of stuff. But he's also kind of a gangster. So when Donald Glover in this movie mentioned that he had a nephew that was coming up, and he's
Miles
much makes
Morales.
yeah, right. The first thing I immediately thought of was like, wait a minute, is he talking about Miles Morales? So if you know the Spider-Man mythos of the Ultimate Universe, you know that the previous Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he dies.
Spoiler.
He's spoiler alert, but he dies at the hands of Norman Osborn.
The Green Goblin.
Right. And so Norman Osborn, right, the Green Goblin, he recommissions a new way to discover Spider-Man's power, and that's how the new Spider is made, and he begs Miles
Well,
Morales.
they were also smuggling stuff too. They were stealing stuff, and then like in the bag had a radioactive
Right.
spider.
The spider came in
And then-
through his uncle's bed. Right. It came in through the Spider-Man encountered Miles Morales through the Prowler. Anyway, so my fan theory is that they're going to kill off the Spider-Man. It may not be this movie. It's going to be clearly after the Infinite Universe. And if they continue going, they may kill off this Spider-Man and bring in the Miles Morales.
So,
but the thing is, they got Gank.
I like the theory. I don't think they will, because white people everywhere is gonna riot. If Peter Parker dies.
It's okay in the comics.
Peter Parker, though, if you look at this comic, it's like 70 years old, right? Like, people don't want to see their hero die. Kind of thing. I wish instead, taking it back just 1 year, maybe even like 2 months, right? I kind of wish they just gave Miles Morales his own movie instead.
It would have been cool.
I don't think so, because the thing is, nobody knows Miles Morales in the movie.
And I think that's the reason why
the Ultimate Universe, though,
sold.
The Ultimate Universe was really a lot more based with the Ultimate Comics, man. Like, I'm not Ultimate Universe. The Marvel. But here's the thing.
It's easy to divulge.
They didn't forget. Here's the thing. They didn't forget the Spider Sense. It's not something you forget when you think of Spider-Man.
That's why I'm cutting him the benefit of the doubt and saying that maybe he didn't develop it yet. Maybe
or
Spider-Man
I say they didn't cut it so they have a window to kill his ass off.
No. No.
Like, oh shit, he didn't see that coming.
Certain storylines work in the comic books where they don't work
so?
in the cinematic universe. I don't think that's going to happen. They're not going to take this actor, kill him off.
Well, that's why I really like
totally
Andrew Garfield's. His spider sense was amazing. It's like right.
But you don't forget the spider sense. There's no developing the spider sense. It's not going to develop.
I think they clearly showed in this latest Spider-Man movie that he is a kid and that he's not fully matured into his powers, and he doesn't know exactly the lengths or the limits of his abilities and what he can and can't do, as evidenced by him trying to hold that freaking fairy together. You know, he doesn't know. He's not a seasoned superhero, so he doesn't.
He's 15.
But he doesn't know what he's doing yet.
It's different with powers, though. Like, you don't just be like, oh, no,
I noticed the spider sense, too, but I'm cutting them some slack, okay?
Look, they put that hole in that movie for a reason.
D, the devil's advocate.
We're gonna see what happened.
Because he should have saw that ceiling coming toward him. What did he drop? An air conditioning unit or a ceiling on him or something? He should have saw that coming. Yeah, because, I mean, come on, man. He cut through the column. You didn't see that coming?
Also, like, to me, the column, I can almost give him that. You know what I'm saying? Like the bus, dude. The bus pissed me off because like the bus is loud and it's big. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So for that tires to be squealing and hitting you twice, it's like, come on, bro, come on, man.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the holes in the movies.
I do appreciate though, like
that's there on purpose.
So I know a lot of people. Like, not Spider-Man, this one, but, like, movies and stuff like Doctor Strange or all this other stuff where they're like, or, like, Ghost in the Shell. A lot of it's, like, whitewashed, right? I appreciate a lot of the diversity in this casting, though.
Yeah, I did, too.
We had, like, the Asian principal. We had, you know, Ned.
You had an interracial relationship between
that was dope. I was
Michael
like,
Keaton and the lady,
I was like, okay. I was like, I give props to that. I was like, they trying.
And that goes back to these white supremacists. I think that the disillusion, the world is not trending towards segregation and supremacy of one race over another. I mean, it's all about technology. It's all about money nowadays, economics. You know, if you can go out and work and earn $1, you know, you are going to be able eventually to be accepted into society without having the constraints of your race on you, you know, as a shackle or a means to demean you. You know, the world is not going that way, man. These people are disillusioning themselves. I mean, it's crazy.
Wait a minute. So one of the best parts of the movie is in the car when he picked her up for the prom, and she keep talking, and he's looking at her like, "Shut the fuck up."
Do you think they showed?
And she keep talking, and the whole time the dad is piecing things together, like, oh, and the dad being the vulture. Like, I think nobody saw that coming.
I think the hardest part of the whole
movie. That was an
movie,
amazing scene, though.
That was a great scene.
Like, I thought Michael Keaton's like interaction. He was like, "Hey, I just saved your life." Yeah. Like, I thought the hardest part of the whole movie, like the most go hard part, was when Michael Keaton turned around and had that gun in his hand and started talking to Peter. I'm like, "Yo, you gonna turn around with the gun in your hand?" You know what I mean?
You know?
Like, hey, that was kind of cool.
I thought that was amazing.
He went harder in that part than Spider-Man went in the whole movie. It may be Tony Stark, because Tony Stark saved the day. I'm glad. I like how they used Tony Stark, because the way they were looking at him in the previews, you thought he was going to be in most of the movie, but he wasn't. He was kind of used sparingly.
It kind of seemed like you could see he was getting old, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, Robert Downey Jr. That's the great thing about this role as Iron Man, because
It's like they're going to be pushing on to a new generation.
Most of his acting in any Iron Man movie, Avengers, he doesn't really have to act.
It's comical.
And he doesn't have to act. It's all
him.
CGI. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He's not flying around as Iron Man. He's in this little thing. It's a roadie, turn left. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, Michael Keaton's like
he doesn't do
rolled on
anything.
that dude. He went hard. Like I
He was
really,
a great Vulture, man.
Yeah,
Like,
I really appreciate.
Do you think they showed too much of the movie in the previews? Like all that vlogging stuff at the beginning where he's recording
honestly, I
himself?
didn't see that. I didn't see that till
I saw
actually
it.
didn't see it.
I thought they showed maybe a little bit too much, man. I was like, that would have been cool if we didn't see that part.
They definitely shouldn't have. You were right before when you mentioned the Tony Stark coming in to save the ship. They should have definitely left that out.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was like, how is this? During the preview, the original preview, I was like, how is he gonna do this? Is he gonna do that?
Is he gonna
And in the
hold
movie,
ship
it'd have
together?
been great to see, but we saw it in the previews later.
Dude,
That was cool how Tony stepped out of the armor too, and he was like, "If you really cared, you'd be here."
He's like, "What up, motherfucker?"
Like, oh
Yo,
shit!
I was gonna say that
I am
when he was holding that ferry together, dude. Man, my heart went out, dude. I was
that
like,
was
dude,
good.
I was like, he knew he fucked up, and he was like, dude, he was
doing everything he could to pull it
everything, dude.
together.
I was like,
I loved the suit. I loved his new suit. How it had the
He's a great
the artificial
Spider-Man.
intelligence integrated into the suit, and also at the end, speaking of Miles Morales, I heard that's his suit. That not Miles Morales, but that's Spider-Man 2099 or whatever it is, a futuristic Spider-Man.
2099.
That's the suit that he uses. You know.
by the way,
That's Ruiz.
So I
What's
really
his
like
name?
the
What's that
I
guy's
really like
name?
the
I can't
CPU,
remember.
by the way, and I really like Karen, right? But the thing is, I felt that Karen kind of took the place of the Spider Sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it bugged me a little bit. I like
the suit. I like the different weapon systems and shit like that. I was like, that's
seeing
cool.
all the options for like the
Karen
spider
ain't shit.
like webs.
Yeah,
web shooters.
like the
I thought
proximity
that-
webbing
yeah,
and shit like
I thought
that.
That was
Yeah.
dope.
That was awesome.
But then again, like I still wanted like
I like that Gank was able to come in there and like jail.
Yankee Lee,
Yeah, he was able to come in there and jailbreak the spider suit.
like training wheel
It was-
mode.
it was
Yeah, I
like-
love that.
Word, fix it.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid. That was kind of dumb. Like with a regular laptop, I'm like, wait a minute, you telling me
Yeah.
Tony
Maybe,
Stark?
yeah, but
doesn't-
maybe
Tony
they're
Stark.
really
Yeah.
smart though. No, you're right. Tony Stark's real smart, but maybe Genki's pretty smart though.
I mean, maybe. but
Ned, whatever.
Ned, whatever.
I didn't see evidence of that. And if I'm Spider-Man, I'm definitely going up in that party for a few minutes just to hook my boy Ned up. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, give
Think
him a
of all
dap,
the girls
yo.
Ned could have
Give
got.
him a
Yeah, I'd
dap
be like,
or
yo, what up,
something.
Ned, man? I'll see you later, man. All right, later,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
You know,
Like, yo,
give
Ned,
some shine.
thanks for hooking it up. You know,
No,
with,
do you
with
think
that
it was
thing.
weird how Flash Thompson was the Indian guy? Flash Thompson
Instead of a
Bullet?
white dude.
I thought it
Yeah,
speaks to
instead
the
of a white
diversity
dude?
that Jay was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know what? No, you know what?
Weird. No.
He was like more of like a scholarly instead of the jock.
Why was Flash
Yeah.
Thompson in there at all?
You know what? No, I appreciated that.
You didn't need that.
I kind of wish he was more of a jock.
A jock instead of a bully nerd.
Yeah, because like
I appreciate
that
the
whole
spin
thing
on
was
it.
good.
I thought it was different.
like when they said Flash, I was like, okay, okay. Because I'm still thinking about the cartoon Spider-Man, you know, Flash Thompson.
Yeah.
But you know what? I give him props. It's not bad.
I thought it was different.
I like the fact when after Spider-Man saved like the whole elevator scene, he's like, "Hey, are you really friends with Peter Parker?"
Yeah.
That was it. I was like,
That's what I'm
yo.
saying. I would have went up in there and gave Ned some shine.
Yeah,
like,
you
y'all to
said
dap
that.
Ned up.
Yeah,
Told him
I
I'ma
would have
see
been
him
like
later.
something like that, Ned. What
And
you
then I
did,
would've
what you
went
did
out
last
and
week
saved
for
the
me, yo, thank you.
Good luck, homie.
Yeah, good luck, homie.
Right,
and then,
you know what I'm
and then dip out and be like, yo, like Ned.
That'd have been cool.
Yeah, that hell yeah.
Nice.
Then he got his ass dragged by.
Penis Parker. Penis Parker. When I say penis,
that
you
part was
say
funny,
Parker. It's like,
That
yo,
was fucked up.
Man, how long we
Dude,
been
yeah.
going for?
We got hour
150.
43.
yeah.
That's not terrible. I thought it would have been 2 hours and 43
Nah,
minutes.
we good.
Nah,
Damn.
we good, man. So
Yeah, I
good
mean,
movie,
the next movie as far as action, I still haven't seen War for the Planet of the Apes. I'm ashamed.
I need to see that, John.
Oh man,
I heard
dude,
Atomic
I-
Blonde was off the hook too.
You know, I heard good
that
things
was
about
cool.
that. But if you had, so for both of you, then right for like, so I love Planet of the Apes.
Me too. I have both of the other movies.
The first two, amazing, right? The third one, in my opinion, like I really like the third one a lot. I'm not going to spoil too much of it, right? But the thing is, the third one, you understand, like, because with the first two, you see the Planet of the Apes perspective, like the apes, they're like, yeah, primates, like, yeah, you know, like, yeah, we're being
trying to
oppressed,
get-
this and that,
yeah.
right? When the third one, though, you kind of understand what it's like to be the human.
And fight,
And
having
like,
to fight.
yeah, and having to fight for your own survival as well. And once you see that, dude, like, it's like watching Civil War again. You're like, oh,
It's two
both sides are good, yeah. And I would say like it was amazing.
See,
It was
yeah.
amazing, and because for the first two, I'd be like, hell yeah, dude, I'd be on the ape side.
Right,
I'm
you
a
know?
sympathizer, dude. I would, yeah, right.
Fuck the humans.
For this one though, you're kind of, yeah. For this one, you're kind of like,
Fuck his humans.
You're like, Oh, I see. I see. You have to do this because otherwise,
Otherwise, it's extinction. It's like
And I would say though, right? Like, yo, this one was kind of emotional, man. There's a couple scenes in there that, like, I watched the matinee because it was cheaper. You know what I'm saying? When I was sitting there, right?
Yeah.
When I was sitting there, and a couple of the scenes came up, right? I was like, oh man. I was like, yo, that's rough. I looked over at this one dude, right? Like, it was only like 3 of us in the theater, right? This one old dude was just like, ooh, man, you can see it holding it. He was holding in the tears. You know, I was like, bro, yo, I know that feel, man. I looked at it. It was, dude, you guys have to watch it. You guys have.
I need to see that jump, man.
I gotta go.
Like,
to
I've
a
been
matinee.
sleeping on it, but I've been
I think
wanting
the
to
last
watch
3 or
that.
4 times I went to the movies was matinee. I
Yeah,
try not to go to the movies unless it's a
absolutely.
matinee, man.
Woody Harrelson though, like, dude, like,
Yeah, that's right. He's in it.
like the whole fucking series, man. I fucking hated him, right?
Really?
I hated him, right? In this movie, right? When you find out more of his backstory, you're like, dude, you're like, wow, holy shit, dude, like, you get it, you understand, and that's the hardest part. Once you understand, you're just like, dude, what a great movie.
I need to watch that joint, dude. Definitely. And then The Dark Tower came out. I haven't seen that joint yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I
heard it was
that
all right.
joint.
Annabelle came out.
Annabelle. This is like Paranormal Activity with the doll? Or...
I heard that this one is scarier than the first one. So, but I mean, like, you guys
that's
like
the
horror?
thing, man. Like, there's a couple things I can't really do in movies, man. And it's demons I can't punch, and it's goddamn dolls.
See,
like,
no,
I just can't do them shit.
I have a theory. So this is my theory for the paranormal.
Anything
right?
else, I'm down.
My theory for the paranormal, for ghosts, ghouls, goblins, right? If they can touch me, I can punch them. You know what I'm saying? Because that's bullshit. They can touch me and I can't hit them back, right? So by the laws of physics, if you can touch me, I'm gonna punch the shit out of you. You know what I'm saying? So ghosts and goblins out there,
But
right?
if you punched a demon, what are you really gonna do to it? You know what I mean? You might cut your hand on a spike or some shit.
Well,
that's the thing. I don't think I can punch a demon.
Yeah, like, can
I don't
punch?
think you can. Like, nobody punched shit in Paranormal Activity, but they were getting fucked up in this whole movie. Like, that's the only thing that gets me. If that joke can hit me and I can't be like, the
first Paranormal Activity was the most freakiest movie I've ever seen in my life. That was a movie that affected me the most, like, outside of the movie theater. You know?
Yeah, like, if I can't punch that joke
The
back,
Conjuring
man,
and all that, it didn't affect
Insidious
me.
was.
Yeah, it didn't affect me.
I didn't see
Sinister.
Insidious, but I saw Amityville Horror, all those other things. Like, all those things, that's crazy. It's kind of weird, kind of spooky, but Paranormal Activity, I didn't sleep for 2 days, son. Like, straight up. And then Chucky, when I was a kid, I just can't deal with dolls, man. If I ever saw a doll turn his head and look at me, I can't.
What about that? What about the
balcony?
new reboot of It?
I saw the preview for that. That joint does look pretty freaky.
Oh, I love
It's a reboot. It's the exact same thing.
I
It does
gotta
look
see that
freaky.
jump, man. That's just gonna be crazy. I
does
gotta
look
see
freaky.
it, shit, though.
Well,
It looks good.
all right. Let me try to jump into. I saw a few interesting articles earlier in the
Running
week
gun.
before we wrap up here.
We'll do 15
Speaking
minutes.
of production companies and movies and all that stuff, this is for all my Game of Thrones fans. I don't know if anybody watches Game of Thrones.
Hey, hold on.
All about that
Spoilers?
And I'm not gonna spoil
Let's
anything.
go. King of the North. Let's go.
Apparently, there's been a bunch of hackers who are trying to ransom HBO because they got a hold of a lot of their scripts for Game of Thrones.
Yo,
and
holy shit,
for a
that's
lot of the
awesome.
shows. I watched a video that spoiled the last episode. I saw it was a fight between Brienne and Arya. It was like a sparring. It was a sparring session.
Hold on. All right,
But like
I'm gonna go in the other room. And
if
shit,
you
all
go
right?
on, if you go on YouTube right now, they have whole scenes from the next episode coming up.
Holy shit, are you serious?
Basically, it says HBO offered $250,000 as a bounty payment to hackers who stole TV show scripts from the company, according to an email obtained by CNBC.
Holy shit.
But a source familiar with the situation said it was just a delay tactic. Yeah, I think it's a delay tactic. There's no way HBO is really going to pay some hackers who threatened to put scripts of their shows online early to ruin the surprise.
That's amazing.
Details of a data breach at HBO came to light last week. Scripts from shows such as Game of Thrones were leaked online ahead of Sunday's episode. A hacker or group called Mr. Smith claimed responsibility and said that they had around 1.5 terabytes of data from HBO. The hackers demanded money worth 6 months of their salary, claiming they make $12 million to $15 million from stealing intellectual property and blackmailing companies. Those hackers appear to have been engaged in email correspondence with HBO. Which these leaks are really pissing me off because as a fan of Game of Thrones and a watcher, the leaks are making me mad because it's taking the surprise out of the show. Like, when you go down and like you watch a video about something else and you read a comment
that's true. Anytime something
of somebody
is spoiled,
who read a leak, it's like it spoils it and it's taking that shock factor away. So,
I have to scroll through Facebook so carefully because there's so many memes up. I'm not gonna watch the Game of Thrones season until the end. So I just been like dodging spoilers.
Why?
Like,
and it's not just Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
HBO Go and
Game of Thrones is one of the biggest shows that's airing right now.
Huge.
So they said it actually overtook The Walking Dead as the most watched show in the premiere.
Walking Dead's falling off.
They said The Walking Dead had an average of 15 million. They said Game of Thrones had 18 million, not including the pirated people. You know, people who pirate the show and watch it online. 18 million people who watched the first episode. So. It sucks for me, man. That struck home for me because I'm like, man, y'all are spoiling the surprise of the show, and it's not just HBO. They did it with Stars, with Power, 50 Cent's show, Power.
Well,
they leaked
here's the thing, like, just
episodes.
don't go look for it.
Yeah, but
It's not like
you
they,
can't
it's not
avoid
like
it.
they
You can-
throw it in your face.
When I pull up YouTube, the HBO spoilers of Game of Thrones, like season 1, episode 5, season 7, episode 5 comes on tonight. They already got scenes from season 7, episode 5 on YouTube right now, and it pops up on my feed. It's right there.
Scenes or
I have to watch it to know what's going on. Yes, whole scenes, like 2-3 minute scenes from the movie.
dude, just
They got
just
videos.
Don't watch
They
Game
got
of Thrones shit on
videos
YouTube.
of guys who are breaking down the script, telling you word by word what's going to happen. And they said out through the first 4 episodes that the leaks were accurate. So that they were accurate. So I mean, who knows, man? I'm like, just people stop being petty. Just watch the show. You know what I mean? Like, don't spoil it for everybody else. Don't put leaks out online and shit like that. Like, some of us like being surprised, and we like, we like being, shocked on Sunday nights at 9 o'clock and saying, "Man, that was a great episode." Like, I don't want to know what happened before that.
All right. For us, the cast, right? Quick question: who's your favorite character right now?
Jon Snow.
Jon Snow?
Are you talking about Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Jon Snow. Hands
What
down.
about you?
Tyrion.
The King in the North.
Tyrion? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Arya right now.
The King in the North.
Dude, Arya, dude.
I don't buy it. I don't buy that this little girl all of a sudden knows how to water dance.
Dude, she's going hard, yo.
Yeah, but I don't buy it. Like, this little girl just like she's just this badass assassin who doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't buy it.
I don't know if y'all can see this because we don't have a video cast, but
Okay.
Juice over here, ear buffs on the side.
All right,
I had another article, but I'm gonna skip that one for time
Well,
constraints.
hold on. Just speaking about shows though, Rick and Morty season 3.
Is it up yet?
I heard they have
out.
leaks for that as well.
Is it up?
Okay. Yeah. So we're 3 episodes deep.
Oh, I gotta.
4th episode is coming out on Sunday, so I'm a huge
Why
fan.
is everybody into Rick and Morty? I don't
Have you watched it?
No, what I
Dude,
heard. I
nigga,
keep
watch
hearing
it.
shit about that,
Dude,
though.
Rick and
dude,
Rick
watch
and
it.
Morty.
Why is it so hard? What's
Rick
so
and
cool
Morty.
about it?
Number 1 is there's the fan theories out there is crazy too. But you know what? I wasn't going to go into Rick and Morty, but like first of all, like it's based off of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And you have Doc and Marty, right? But the whole concept is something that we've all, as kids, have thought about. It's like, okay, well, there's different dimensions, parallel universes, multiverses.
What can the time machine do?
Like, what if there was a I'm sure there is a dimension where like that I'm a movie star, or what if I was a neurosurgeon, or what if I was the president of the fucking United States or something like that, right? Like, it's possible because there's infinite universes, infinite dimensions, infinite whatever, right? And Rick and Morty essentially they explore this.
They explore the multiverse.
And
What channel does it come on? With a network.
Adult Swim.
Okay.
So, but like, just a lot of the continuity that they go through, or like they give shout outs to The Simpsons, they give shout outs to like Futurama, like Gone in 60 Seconds, like all these things, right? The creativeness of this show is absolutely crazy. And Rick, if you look at comic books in general, right, in order for someone to break the fourth wall, especially in like paper comic books, right, to have a punch that goes through the frame, you have to be extremely powerful, right? Rick,
Or just to be Deadpool.
or to just be Deadpool, right? But that's kind of his gimmick, though. But if you look at Rick, he breaks the fourth wall occasionally. This shows that he's incredibly powerful, this and that. So to have the smartest scientist in quote-unquote the universe,
Multiverse.
right? In the multiverse, and give him a show, the possibilities are endless.
The Council of Ricks?
The Council of Earth, yeah. But I mean, like, even if you think about it, like, the show actually has dark
It has some
moments.
shit like that in
it gets really dark because, like, sometimes, like, You know, if you go to a dimension and your world blows up, for example, right? You escape that dimension, you go to a new one and take over, right? But then you have to think about all the loved ones that you lost behind, or just different things like that. Like there's an episode.
They put a funny spin on the shit.
Is this a cartoon?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of episodes.
They obviously
Okay,
have put
now I
funny
know
things,
what you're
like,
talking
but there's an episode
But
where
people
like
love
Rick
this
and
fucking
Morty,
cartoon.
where they bury their own bodies.
Well,
Right.
they bury the bodies of the people from the dimension they just moved to.
But no, it's
They killed themselves?
They go hard.
In that dimension?
Yeah, they killed themselves because they
but-
fucked up their dimension.
Yeah, they just take over the body. But like they're
was
three episodes deep.
But it was
And,
funny, but it was dark.
you
It
know,
was like,
if you think season 2 was dark, the second and third episode of season 3,
oh, for real?
dark. And when I say dark,
Oh,
man,
shit.
when I say dark, it's dark. See, like episode 2 was dark, and
Like,
episode
it's-
3 was just like gory.
It's a comedy, but
was-
it's fucked up too. Like it's such a. That's why the show's so good, because it's this dark humor on a. It's not even a real aspect, but it's a potentially real aspect.
Yeah.
That could be.
And a lot of the theories that they conjure up
kinda
within the
think
show,
about
we think about sometimes.
Right, like kind of how Black Mirror.
Yeah.
You ever watch Black Mirror yet? Well, yeah, it deals with these other concepts, and this is like, it's not what's happening, but it could happen, and what if it did happen? And that's what it kind of runs through, and it's just like, oh shit, like that's kind of how Rick and Morty is except on a multiverse level, where they're jumping dimensions.
I've seen a couple episodes of Rick and Morty, but I just don't understand the popularity of it, because that show's been
Keep
blowing
watching.
the fuck up. Like,
It helps to go through in sequence.
Yeah.
It helps to
Keep
follow
watching.
the story instead of just
I
picking
keep
one
hearing
episode.
this shit. I keep
It's
hearing
crazy, man. It's crazy. But yeah, Rick and Morty fans out there, 3 episodes deep. Fourth one's coming out.
There's probably some spoilers of them online too.
Oh yeah.
Who
Probably.
knows? Right.
Thankful
One more
I'm
article
like-
that I definitely wanted to mention. I thought this was cool. I saw it maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It's from a site called Fashion Beans. Fashion Beans. 13 historical things you learned in school that are terribly wrong. So, 13 historical things that we learned in school that are terribly wrong. Maybe I might not go through the whole list.
Hemp and
but let's see.
tobacco with a number 1 and 2.
Number
experts.
1, 4th of July is Independence Day. Sure, the 4th of July is always laden with American flags, hot dogs, and fireworks, but did you know that it is not the day of America that America actually became an independent nation? July 2nd is actually the day we should be celebrating, as that's when independence won the vote, but it was on the 4th when a revised version of the Declaration of Independence was adopted. I'm like, So these, like, some of these American tropes are so integrated into our lives that we just celebrate it. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know. Celebrate
Tradition.
it.
It's tradition now.
Yeah, tradition.
What day are the
Fuck it.
fireworks on?
Let's see. Number 2, a cowboy's ethnicity. Despite what old films would tell you with the Wild West, was not solely full of white cowboys. Rather, thanks to CNN, we now know that, in fact, 1 in 4 cowboys were of African American descent,
Word up.
while around
That's
1
what's
in
up,
3
yo.
were Mexican.
Nope.
Wow. So it's like, man, I guess we kind of already knew that, though, right?
Mexican.
Yeah, because that was Wild West. That's what a lot of people could escape to, and
Yeah.
they could restart
Right?
themselves.
Yeah, you can go
out
out.
there.
Go out west and restart your life.
Yeah.
3,
dope.
why the Pilgrims came to America. You might have been told that the Pilgrims fled Europe because they no longer wanted to endure religious persecution, a narrative that's frequently brought up, especially given the current political atmosphere. In fact, America was not their first stop, following their disdain for the Church of England. Rather, Amsterdam was. Amsterdam. It was because they didn't want to risk their children becoming too Dutch that led to their departure for America.
Dutch.
They were being racist against the Dutch, so they did. I guess, I don't know. I wasn't around back then.
Damn.
What does it mean to be too Dutch? Too much Lederhosen?
Maybe they
Chocolate?
were just later hosen.
Lederhosen? I don't.
Yeah, who knows? 4, Salem witches. You might have heard that witches of Salem were burnt at the infamous stake,
They
right?
were drowned.
Not the case, as it turns out. It was hanging that was used to
Oh.
deplete the population of suspected witches from Salem, rather than burning. I guess hanging's cheaper, right? Just get a
Yeah,
cage.
firewood is expensive.
I don't have to build a whole fucking pyre. I can just hang them from a fucking branch and
I
shit.
read that they drowned a lot of the witches because if they could swim up, if
No,
they could make it back up, then they were witches
that's
for
true.
sure.
That's true. That's true.
If they
Damn,
can
yo.
make it back up, they
Yeah,
were definitely
if you
witches.
float,
That's
you're not a
crazy.
witch.
That's crazy.
If you stay down
that
there,
last
you're
bubble
not
come
a
up
witch.
like, damn, I guess she was innocent. You know?
Yep.
But yeah, all right. So let's skip a couple here. The British are coming. This one is actually a bit intuitive, though most of us haven't focused on that part ever. But as you might recall, most colonials, including Paul Revere, considered themselves British citizens during the time of the Revolutionary War. This is why it wouldn't make any sense if he had gone around yelling, "The British are coming." Instead, there's a good chance that he informed his fellow colonials that the British regulars, which was what they were denoted as, were coming. So it's not the British are coming, it's the British regulars, as opposed to,
But
whatever.
he didn't yell that.
But I guess,
The British regulars are
Yeah,
coming.
the British regulars are coming. That shit took too long. That shit just doesn't roll off the tongue.
The British regulars.
The British are coming. You're British. Shut up.
That shit just doesn't
The
roll off the
regulars are
tongue like
coming.
it should.
So shut up, Steve.
Let me see, man. Any other good ones in this list, man? I'm skipping a couple.
That's crazy, yo.
Christopher Columbus' legacy.
Nah, fuck that dude, yo. Fuck that dude.
While you might know that Columbus wasn't actually responsible for having been the first to discover America, not least because civilizations were already established here well before Columbus and his cohorts arrived, and maybe you've even heard something about who did. The name Leif Erikson might have been passed around, I guess he was a Viking, Leif Erikson.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which I heard that the Vikings made it as far as Minnesota. I heard they found Viking artifacts in Minnesota. They followed some river channel straight through New York all the way up and they got to Minnesota. I don't know if that's true or not.
They mentioned that in American Gods.
You probably don't know the extent to which the real discoverers were involved in America's history. It turns out that 500 years before Columbus' game-changing arrival to the, quote, New World, Norse explorers actually discovered and set up a colony there. It wasn't until circa 1000 CE that the Norse explorers began venturing from their bases in Greenland and Iceland and discovered a rich new world full of plenty. Did you know that they spent a few years, yes, that's right, years, in America, the aptly named Vinland, literally Vineland, on the tip of their tongues as they settled in for a long haul?
Actually,
So, it wasn't-
Flowbots, the group Flowbots, in their song Handlebars,
Oh, Flowbots.
talk about Leif Erikson.
Oh, okay.
And I know
So it
who
wasn't
Leif
Columbus.
Erikson is.
Yeah. Oh, word. Yeah.
So that
Shout out
leads me
to
to the
them,
question:
yeah.
who was here, the Vikings or the Indians first, or the Native Americans? Who were the first ones here in
Olmecs.
America? Because those are the people who discovered America. You know what I mean? Like, let's
Yeah,
go
they
back
were
to
there.
the first
They
people
crossed
who
the
were there.
Bering Strait, right? When
Right.
they came here. But also, I mean, there was a. So the book, what's it called? Before Columbus, like Ivan Van Sertima pushes this idea of saying that there was a channel from Africa to the Americas, and that they were able to take boats across the ocean to America, and that Christopher Columbus, in his journal, he has notations mentioning not Native Americans but black men of dark skin and curly hair that were already African people who were here in the Americas already.
Yep.
Why do so many things?
I think it's just that same one.
Oh.
What the heck are you doing?
I want to like so much stuff.
Well, but yeah, those are all the pretty much interesting ones. There's about 6 or 7 of them.
What are
There's
the
the
other ones?
13. Man, shoot, man, you're gonna make me.
I was
pull it back
curious.
up.
What are the other ones?
I think they had one about Albert Einstein. It says that
His name was actually
Albert Einstein's failing grade. According to an old issue of Ripley's Believe It or Not, back when Albert Einstein was still around, declared that the genius had actually failed a math class. Ah, so Albert Einstein wasn't as smart as we thought. This motherfucker failed a math class. What the fuck are you talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're not going to even go into how unfathomable that would be if it were true. Unfathomable, if not impossible, and certainly sketchy enough to make someone quirk their eyebrows, scoff, and saunter off to the physics room. On the other hand, in fact, the statement declared by Ripley's was made while Einstein was still alive, and he even saw the issue in question. Not only did the man, nowhere near a generous enough description, we know, not fail his math class, but he overwhelmingly excelled.
Yeah.
Shocker there, right?
Come on, Ripley.
He also
Do
mastered
that.
classes such as differential and integral calculus, which sounds like the equivalent to hell for those of us who are exclusively right-brained, which of course Einstein was not. So, right? So, yeah, isn't that a thing where you don't use the left side of your brain or some shit like that? You know what I mean, right? So we're right side-brained, whatever it is.
It's like a genius level. So you gotta be.
Yeah, you pretty much got to be a genius.
You gotta be ambidextrous brained.
Then they had something about like the Alamo, and now there were actually
Ambidextrous.
nobles who were fighting on the side of the Alamo and shit like that. I visited the Alamo. We went down to see Chris.
Oh yeah.
Went down to see him in San Antonio.
Alamo, man.
2 years ago. Yeah, I was right there around the little fort or whatever it was. Look, 5 more minutes, okay? 10 clear signs others are intimidated by your personality. I thought this was kind of cool, too. I thought a lot fit me. Let's see how many fit you guys right here.
Intimidated by your personality.
10 clear signs that others are intimidated by your personality.
You always yell at people.
You always tell the truth. You are a person that once you say you're going to do something, you go ahead and do it. In other words, you have an honest personality and you always do what you say you will. So, do you ever feel like people are intimidated by your personality? Like sometimes people just get maybe not intimidated, but like they hate on you a little bit for no reason. They really don't even know you. You know what I mean? You ever feel that way? Like maybe they're just intimidated by your work ethic or something like that. Let me go ahead and keep going. You are always direct and get right to the point. You have the willingness to do things with an open mind. I thought a lot of these kind of fit me, you know, but I don't necessarily see myself as an intimidating person. But maybe personality-wise, maybe that's a thing.
What you say about habitual line crossing?
It doesn't say quite that much about that, but it does say you have a strong will and you cannot abide people who complain.
Yo, that's the quote, son.
Your solution surprise. Hey, look. Yes, I'm a habitual line crosser, but damn it, that just goes to me going straight to the point. All right, I don't like beating around the bush. You ever be mad at somebody who you're really close to, and you be like, man, maybe I should go at this with a soft hand and not really just go directly at her. But then when you start when the conversation starts happening, you're like, man, fuck that. The gloves are off. You know what I mean?
Hold on, let
I'm
me
about to
explain
just
this
say
shit to
exactly
you.
what I want to say, and I don't care if you get mad. You know?
Let me explain this.
Yeah, hey, look, he said, where's the bullet point on habitual line crossing? Yeah, that ain't right. All right, but whatever. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's going to take us around to the end of the cast. It's been an exclusively long cast. This is our welcome back length cast.
Yeah, guys, we missed y'all. We missed y'all. Want to explain
it's been a whole month.
I feel like they all long though.
Yeah. The last one wasn't that bad. It was 1 hour 30. That wasn't terrible. This probably been like 2.5 hours.
Don't worry, I'm gonna edit it.
Yeah.
Shave off 5 seconds.
Yeah, add all about 5 minutes out of there.
You know what I'm saying?
But I guess that's gonna take us out, man. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe. Intelligent Idea Talkers Podcast.
You know what I'm saying? Check out our show, Roll Up a J, you know what I'm saying?
We're gonna have some more info on the Patreon.
Let us know what you think.
Count coming up.
Yeah, we're working on logos, guys. We got some new stuff coming up. We're gonna have a Patreon set up for everybody. So if you please donate. We'll let you guys know as soon as it's up and ready. But,
And we'll give you a shout out.
Whatever you can.
Yeah, we'll give you a shout out. You know what I'm saying?
$5, 50 cents. It don't matter.
Subscribe, drop a comment, like, please.
People
You know,
donating
maybe
coupons.
you should donate more than $1 because we do need to get this video.
People
cast
donating
up and running.
coupons and food stamps.
Yeah, if I could get some coupons for Walmart, I'd be cool. Or like, you know, one of them little books where the McDonald's coupons.
Send me a gift card.
Yeah, you know.
Sponsorships, whatever, yo.
I miss those McDonald's.
Yeah, right? If somebody donated a bunch of those, I'd take them.
Maybe.
You know?
I saw one like last year, 2 years ago. So maybe like you get like $5 off like a
Yeah.
breakfast sandwich.
It's like buy one breakfast sandwich, get another
buy one
free or
free or
something.
something.
I
Yeah.
used to mess with them jumps, man.
Yeah.
Also, local businesses. If you want to give us food or something, we'll plug. We'll do a plug.
Oh, I'll definitely plug you.
We hungry.
Look, we's hungry.
Wine companies.
That's gonna be the
out
logo
there.
for our
Local wine companies in Virginia. We know there's
Exactly.
wineries around here.
we's hungry.
We'll shoot you a plug.
Yeah, we'll give you a shout out for the drinks.
We's is hungry.
Yeah.
Well, yep. I guess that's gonna take us out. Once again, episode 24. I'm your host D.
This is Juice.
Your boy Jay.
Yeah. Out. Peace.